Hi everyone, this is Norman Kochnick here yet again for Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick. We're here on day two of the first test between India and, of course, England at Trent Bridge in Nottingham, in Nottinghamshire County. The reality is that this test has been somewhat overshadowed by the presence of a very buoyant Olympics, the Tokyo Olympics, of course, with India winning some. I think India now still ranked pretty low in the order, 66th actually, clear 66th. They've won 1 silver and now 3 bronze, with further medals in the hockey, the men's hockey, having beaten Germany, which was quite a significant win, giving India a medal. And I think Bure Majunda, who I'm hoping to have on a show a bit later, we were meant to have it a bit earlier, but he'll be on hopefully later on a show about the Tokyo Olympics. He and I will talk live, hopefully, and be able to talk about not only the Olympics, but how England and India are going in the test series. But yeah, obviously, I'm very happy because Australia in the Olympics, that is, are ranked 4th. They've actually, I think, won 2 gold medals today. One was in skateboarding, an 18-year-old boy won the skateboarding American accent, but claiming also to be a dual citizen from Australia. They're from Australian, along with one of the kayaking events as well. I think Melissa Wu won the bronze in the diving. So we've now got some 39 medals in total, 17 gold, 4 silver and 18 bronze. The 17 gold equates to the best ever equal top of all of our gold medals ever in the one Olympic Games. We've got 16 in Sydney, we've got 17 in Athens, now 17 again here in Japan, as in Tokyo. So there you go. It's rather good for Australia. We're ranked 4th. I mean, both Russia and Great Britain are on our backs with only a couple of medals behind in terms of gold, and then the likes of Germany and New Zealand are ranked 8th, 9th is Italy, France is 10th. Look, India's 66th, but they've done very well, and hopefully in the future they can do even better. Asha Jane says hello. Hi, how are you? So today's day 2. Of course, we had a magnificent day for India yesterday, in day 1 of the test match between India and England at Trent Bridge. England won the toss and elected to bat, which it never seems to be Kohli's way that he wins a toss. Kohli then had to wait for the decision. Joe Root decided after winning the toss that he would bat. And they obviously had a number of changes to be made with Butler in there now. Of course, Bairstow in place of Ollie Pope. No Ben Stokes. They've kept most of the other batting lineup as is. Ollie Robinson returned after his small period of being banned. Of course, Broad and Anderson are there, but they only have 4 specialist bowlers with Sam Curran, Ollie Robinson, and Broad and Anderson. And they're going to rely on Root and perhaps Lawrence to bowl some part-time bowl at the back of that inning. So that's quite a shock. No, there's no doubt about that. Virat Kohli's 71st 100 is coming, Pawan Kumar reckons. Well, Jasprit Bumrah back to form, he certainly is. Definitely Jasprit Bumrah was back to form with taking 4 wickets, and Shami took 3, and Siraj chipped in with 1 as well. Some pretty good efforts actually there in the Indian team, in the bowling department, that is. And the only somewhat of a disappointment was the fact that they perhaps could have got a few wickets even more than that and got them out even cheaper. But no, 183 is a pretty good controlling effort by India. Shardul Thakur also was there. I shouldn't forget him. He took wickets. Shardul Thakur actually took 2. So it was 4 to Bumrah, 3 to Shami, 1 to Siraj, and then 2 to Thakur. So that's where the wickets fell. And England, after 65.4 overs, at a run rate of only 2.78, which wasn't brisk at all, they scored 183 all out. So that 183, we're yet to see how good that is. We're going to see the full Indian batting to see how good or bad that first innings was. But I can't see 183 being a good score. They should have posted 250 plus, perhaps even 300, but they didn't quite get their act together. The bowling was very good early on, and it maintained that level. Then India had some 13 overs to bat, and didn't go at a fast pace, but 1.6 and over. They didn't lose a wicket. They're none for 21. Both Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul are both 9 not out. And Anderson, Broad, Robinson, McCarron, the full complement of their bowlers, bowled only Khan bowling 1 over in that 13 overs. So effectively, India are in a good place. They're some 162 runs behind England, which is not really a behind total because, of course, they haven't batted their full batting complement yet, have they? So we're looking at, will Rahul make hundreds in this match? Raj gave us, well, he could well. Rohit Sharma could. There's a number of Indian batsmen should be with a great chance. Yes, it's true that the hockey team, having won the bronze medal, the men's hockey team, which hockey is the number 1 sport of India, apparently. I always thought cricket was, but apparently it's in fact hockey. And that bronze medal, the first medal that they've medalled, and that's a great result. Could have even done better than that, but I think the women's are now playing for, I'm not sure that they're playing, what are the women's, I think the women are playing for bronze as well. I'm not right. I'll have to look at that quickly again, but the men certainly play for the bronze and won. Women obviously they beat Australia, making the semis, and I think they then lost, I think they lost against Argentina. So Argentina are playing the gold, silver medal battle, but I think the women could also play for the bronze and perhaps win it. So 2 hockey teams both winning bronze medals is quite a big achievement. And with cricket, perhaps in the long-term future, we might have more medals there in the similar sport. So great signs. The reality is that there's some questions about Pakistan always play with Zimbabwe and loses. I don't know what the story is there, to be honest. Will India score 300 runs? Well, you'd like to hope they will. You'd think that would be a very good result. If they get 300 plus, well, they're in the box set to win this match. Even though there's limited time, they're saying the 4th, 5th days maybe of poor weather. They're even saying, so they might be not perfect, but I think overall, India scoring anywhere around the 300 mark will be 120 in front. That's going to put them in the box seat. So the reality is, I think there'll be a lot of effort there for India to. They survived the first 13 overs without losing wicket, which is a great thing. They've got Pujara, Kohli, and Rahane to come in and punt. Then Jadeja and Thakur, very strong actually. They're strong down to 8 actually with Thakur. Then Bumrah, Sharma, and Siraj at the back end there. So realistically, India with Pujara, Kohli, Rahane, and punt, and Jadeja and Thakur, they've got a very strong team. I think the fact that Rahul's open, he'll prove to be a good addition as well. I mean, Agarwal, unfortunately, he was injured with the head knocked off the bowling of Siraj in the nets, and the injury to Gill, who put him out. Don't forget, we've been supported. Esawaran is here. He didn't get a Guernsey. Fair enough. Vihari is here. We're also going to have Prithvi Shaw coming shortly, and Sky Yadav will be here as well. So there'll be a bit of depth there. Sky Yadav coming, of course, because of I'm sure coming because of Gill and Agarwal both out. But Agarwal, if Rahul bats well and does well, he may well stay in the team. And if Agarwal is rightfully, he really should be given the opportunity to. Agarwal should have the opportunity to actually play the next Test match if he's fit. He was picked originally, so he's only out because of that head knock in the nets. So there's a person saying that Pakistan will win all the medals in the next Olympics, definitely. Well, I mean, if they do, great. I'd love to see that. I think that would be great. That'll be something we'll wait and see. The reality is that India are in a good position. Anderson and Broad, if they bowl well, you don't know, do you? You just don't know what the story will be in that regard, so we'll wait and see how that goes. Anyway, we'll get some updates with that as time goes on. We'll wait for the rest of the players to return, and England's batting. Let's just go through England's batting a little bit now. We've got plenty of time. We've got a long time before the game actually starts. Rory Burns was out. LBW bowled Bumrah for a duck on the 5th ball, which we were actually covering that with the Barmy Army at the time, and that wicket fell. Rory Burns, LBW. It's unfortunate. Burns certainly is one of the better bats. Dom Sibley virtually scratched around, which he does do apparently. He was eventually called by Rahul off Shami. Zach Crawley looked quite good. Some of his drives were very, very good, but he was ultimately called by Rishabh Pant and keeping position of Siraj. An important wicket for Siraj to get, as Crawley was on 27 at the time. Joe Root certainly batted well. He scored 11 fours and he's 64. Was ultimately LBW to Thakur, but his 64 was pretty important. Bairstow was accompanying him nicely. He was LBW to Shami for 29. He looked pretty solid. Dan Lawrence, 4 balls out, duck, caught behind by Punt off the bowling of Shami. Lawrence, I'm not sure why he's in there at all. I really am. I would not have liked him to be in the side if I would have picked Josh Butler, I should say. Faced 18 deliveries without scoring a run and was eventually caught by the keeper Punt of Bumrah. Must have been struggling a little bit in that situation. Then Ollie Robinson went for a duck. He faced 3 balls off Mohammed Shah. He was caught by Shami off Thakur. Broad was LBW to Bumrah. So Bumrah cleaned up the tail nicely. Bumrah got both Broad and Anderson for 4 and 1 respectively. Sam Curran was not out 27, so he hit 4 and the only 6 in the whole innings. So after those 65.4 overs, I scratched out 183. You'd have to argue that the way it's looking, it's not a good enough total. It can't be a good enough total. It may not be the worst total in the tests because the innings may actually go downhill from now. India might get a reasonable score, but England may get less in the second innings. India may get less. It's one of those pitches where it's very green, very lush, a fair bit of movement. There'll be a fair bit of movement again, I would imagine, today, even especially early on. It looks like it'll be an overcast day. I'm not sure how much rain will be around, but we'll see. So the DRS, we take it for granted. Imagine if there's no DRS, England's the score would have been 250 plus. DR has changed the game for good. Well, hopefully in a balanced way. And welcome, Baramarani. What happened to England? Top order. I can't recognise any top order batsman except Root with their stance or technique. Yeah, it's true. There's a fair bit of concern about the way they bat. Crawley, I think, is worth the effort, but Hamid has to come in. If Sibley gets a low score in the second innings, Hamid will probably go into place of Sibley, I would imagine. Well, they may keep one more test, who knows, but I don't think they will. They lose. We don't have so much less. Most of them, Ali, if you look at me, I had 6,000 people on yesterday's program and 3,000. So when you're on for about 5 minutes and you say, "Oh, there's not enough viewers," it's a strange comment to make because we've got plenty of viewers coming in. The Bills, you watch. Yesterday I had. It annoys me when people keep talking about. I know what's going on. And I'm very happy with what I'm doing. There's not less viewers. In fact, I had some. Let me have a look. Yesterday I had at the same time slot. I had 5,858 viewers. 5,858. And then the following session at night, which was really late at night, early in the morning Australian time, we had 2,754. So I don't know what you're talking about. Thank you for that. We deserve more bias. Umpiring, well, maybe. I don't know about that. Lovely professional university. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. So, Adam, as I was talking earlier, I enjoyed it immensely. I thought it was an amazingly good Test cricket. Is always great to watch, isn't it? It's always exciting to watch Test cricket. Ultimately, a Test match is its best. It's a test of both the patience and tolerance of players, the war of attrition when they bat, the bowling, keeping themselves up for mentally and physically, especially mentally. It's quite an incredible effort indeed. I think there's a lot more going on there than you ever would imagine. And Test cricket is one of the most. It's a bit like game of chess, but with 11 people or 22 people involved. Yeah, Bumrah was certainly hooping corners. Bumrah looked very good yesterday and back to his best. Took 4 wickets. People are making comments, oh, he only got the tail. Well, I'll tell you what, that's significant. You don't want a tail to wag. The fact that he took 3 of the wickets and wrapped up the innings quite well is testament to what his worth is. He gets early wickets and late wickets. That's kind of his job. Taking 4 wickets, and Shami bowled well with his 3 wickets. I think Thakur bowled well. I think Siraj, maybe a little bit short on occasions, but he was also very, very promising, and a lot to be said. What's the first innings winning total on this pitch? Well, it certainly isn't 183. I don't think it is. I don't know how many India will get, but I can't imagine getting less than that. It depends on the first session. It always depends on that first session. I would only imagine that, India will struggle, as will all batting teams on these wickets, with the swing bowling and the conditions with Anderson, Broad and the like. I can see India, they were inking out well over 200, and I'm hoping they do get close to 300, and I'm in a significant lead, which will set the match up. Yeah, the last 23 runs stand, maybe, but they still wrapped up the innings quite successfully. Sharma certainly is up there. I would agree with that. Will Rohit Sharma make the double century in this match? I don't think so. I don't think anyone's going to make a double century. I'd be surprised if anyone makes a century. It's not that kind of wicket. Look at Root yesterday, who's in pretty good form. He scored 64 and he had to really ink it out. So no, I don't think so. Australia, Bangladesh, oh my God, what a shocker. Australia were defeated again. And if you looked, I've got an interview with Moses Enriques on my page at the moment, and you'll see that he's very honest and very frank. He said we couldn't quite get there. The pitches are different, but that's not an excuse. You can't use the pitches as an excuse, because both teams have to adjust. Both teams have to play in those pitches, as teams have to in India, Australia, Bangladesh, wherever they are. So Australia's batted poorly. Poor team selections. They need people like Maxwell back in the team pretty quickly. He should be, I would pick him as my captain if Aaron Finch is not there. So there's so many issues. Shardul Thakur was certainly trained by Jeff Thompson, you're right. In fact, I did a video with Jeff Thompson earlier this year, and we talked about that very fact. And that's pretty impressive, because Thakur does bowl very well, I must say. Well, Bumrah still would be the lead, you'd have to argue. Shami certainly is a great backup for him. For India to get 350 or 360, can't rate it 350, that's going to be very, very hard for any team on this pitch. In the conditions in England, it's very hard to get 350. Unless it's clear, sunny weather and the ground's dry and it's early in the match, I can't see two teams getting 350. England, on their own terms, their own ground, and their own home pitch, only got 183, didn't they? So it's not very good evidence of how good they're playing. So in my opinion, 350 is out of condition. Why is Australia doing well in the Olympics? Well, Moses and Ali, if you looked at the Olympics over the last 100 odd years, Australia's been doing very well. I only looked up those stats. They've won 150 gold medals over over 500 medals over many. They've been inspirational leaders of world sport on an Olympic stage for many, many decades. Not number one, but certainly top 10, sometimes even top 5. And pound for pound, we're certainly up. But New Zealand's done very well as well. And India in the future will certainly do well. I'm pretty sure they will. But we take swimming seriously. We take a lot of the water sports very seriously. Swimming, canoeing, sailing, all those sports we're very much into. Any water sports we're really into, and we've always done very well at. Athletics, done okay at. We haven't done necessarily that well, but yeah. Yeah, and time for tests. Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah, fair point, Baran Running. I think there should be spare day step for especially rain conditions. Absolutely, I totally agree. They should factor that in, but I think the calendars are becoming so tight now that it's not allowing much to really go on in that regard, and it's quite frustrating to see the squishing of the. Look at the way that the 100 is being played. I think they played a game last night, and the test match should have been the centre stage. Should it be on its own? The 5 days of the test match should be left as is, and there's been no other cricket going on around that, because that's enough, isn't it? For a viewer to watch the whole days of test cricket, which is 11 a.m., 10 a.m. in the morning until 6, and then to follow on watch another game at night, well into 9, 10 o'clock at night. It's just too much. Leave Test cricket alone. It's the prime sport still, and will always be that way. Yeah, Sam Curran's going to be very much like Ben Stokes. He could be an important part of the series. He's very free-minded when he bats, and that was evidenced by the way he batted. Yeah, the West Indies Pakistan, if they had kept spare time all day, would have been a good series to watch. Yeah, but look, both Pakistan and the West Indies are going to be big threats in the World Cup. I'll tell you right now. India, England, certainly. West Indies, almost certain. They'll be in the last four. And Pakistan or New Zealand will share the fourth spot in the semi-finals. Australia, not a hope in hell. South Africa look very poor. Bangladesh, even though they did well, probably won't make it. And Sri Lanka haven't got a hope in hell. So that's real. It's quite clear cut the top 4 or 5 there, I think. And Australia's not in it this time. Why Australia won so many gold? Because they work hard. They've got an ethic about sport. Emma McKeon, who won 7 medals in the pool, her father, Ron McKeon, was also a swimmer and also an Olympic level swimmer. He went to my school, dedicated. There's like something to look forward to. All India need is for some, 4 or 5 athletes in whatever sport to actually win gold medals, and the rest of India in the next ensuing 3 or 4 Olympics will start proving that they'll have someone to aspire to. The problem is when you've got India haven't won that many gold medals, especially of late. They've won bronze and silver, yes, but they need someone that they look up to, like they do in cricket. You look up to Kohli, Tendulkar, Dhoni over the years, Gavaskar, Kapil Dev, whomever you want to mention. They look up to these people, and that's why so many people play cricket. If India had someone winning a gold medal in any event that you would imagine, there'll be so many of the younger generations, 1 or 2 of the generations wanting to do or aspire to do what that he or she has done, and that will lead to medals and develop the medals. Australia's had a long history of people doing that, and that's hence why we're so into it. We had 600 athletes at our own Sydney Olympics. We had 400 plus. I think we've got 470 athletes at this Olympics. We've won some 39 medals at the moment. We look like getting a few more. We're just a very sporting, we're an outdoor nation, very much a water-based nation, and water is where a lot of the tournaments are held, of course. Yeah, they're playing cautiously. I think, I'd like to see them cherish their wickets. I think it's a very good point. I think Rahul and Sharma showed that last night, 13 overs without losing a wicket. If they can continue this morning, Kohli has to take his time. You're right, there's no rush, but they want to bat reasonably, and I think they get 300 plus. They remember the great shot. Well, that's a great point, Sarun. I think that if maybe more Australian coaches, some of the athletes they can aspire to can be what India can be inspired by. There's no reason why you can't be good at sailing. There's no reason why hockey you are good. Boxing, wrestling, they're all very good. So shooting, great sports. Archery, in the athletics area, you have a lot of tall, rangy Indian men and women. They could be in the long jump. They could be take up after a Jamaican or even a Pakistani has a lot of good runners too. Well, they could both be involved with athletics. Swimming is one that I don't know how many people actually are in swimming in India. That's probably one that's a bit too hard to imagine at this stage. But certainly canoeing, kayaking, those sorts of sports. There's a whole range of sports that Indians could certainly get involved in. But you're right. I think I like that idea. 20 is Australia's biggest weakness. They need big ones. They're not going to. The cricket legends, they're not going to do well in this World Cup. They're not going to make the semi-finals. They'll be lucky to make 5th or 6th spot, to be honest with you. Bangladesh beat them so convincingly. We're talking about these are the next 3 matches that Australia play Bangladesh in. They're the last 3 matches before the World Cup, except for IPL. That's it. So what does that mean for Australia? They're failing so miserably now. They haven't got a clue who's captain, who's in the side. It's a mess. Ishant Sharma, well, I don't know whether he would have done any better than the bowlers that were there. Siraj bowled well, Thakur bowled well, and both Shami and Bumrah all played pretty well. So no, I don't think Ishant Sharma was necessarily missed yesterday, although he's a good player. As I've said, to be comfortable, you need 300 plus. they get 300 plus, they'll be comfortable. They get 250, they're still 70 in front. Still good, but a 300 plus will put them in a very good position. Robert Sharma won't be just. Robert Sharma's just got to play out and play long. Get to 34 before he runs as he normally does, but keep going. Certainly not stop at that point. Ed Wakeman said the WTC selection was a mistake. Yeah, the two spin bowlers certainly, the bowling combinations certainly, the way they approach the batting, yes. I think they've learned a lot from that particular match. Unfortunately, it was a more significant match in terms of being a World Cup match of sorts. They left the learning elsewhere. They should have, but they've learned well from that. They set themselves up for this series. I think India will warm to the series very well. And England only having 4 bowlers, I don't get that. So Shardul came in. He's a good option there. He bowls very well and can bat. Jadeja's in there because he's a left-hand bowler and batsman. Ashwin went close, but it would have been between those two. It's difficult to have left both of them out, but that's probably the right thing. There's Siddharth there. Most of the reporters are heavily involved with the Olympics. The Olympics has hit a further today with, of course, the hockey, and they're all reporting on the hockey at the moment. It's the big news of the day, both men's and women. So they're a bit detained, but I'm expecting them to be here later on in the day. And Buria and I have set up an actual, hopefully live premiere about the Tokyo Olympics with Buria Majumdar. He and I have talked about it. He's finding some time. He's doing sports tech. He's doing India Today. He's all over the place. He's trying to find a little bit of time in between, and I'm sure he'll be able to do it. As I had my 200th live last night, and the ones coming up tonight are 201st and 202nd. The 201st being the preview, which is the one we're doing right now, and then we'll do the others after that. So yeah, this is, in fact, the 201st live that I've done, which I'm very proud of. We'll be doing more, of course. Just going to check what this is. Sorry, yes, just seeing if things. A lot of people gone and got the vaccinations. Yeah, so Monty Panesar just said whether he wanted to join. He's not sure whether he's available. Plus. So the reality is that I'm just checking on the situation here. This is my look at it, Marcus Norris. Okay, so Munchie's posted the let's look further down. Shooting and archery contingent was a disappointment in the Olympics. Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, they'll be back, but it's not harsh. The reality is Australia are really poor at the moment. Warner's not going to be captain of any format. That's gone. He's lost his with the sandpaper go. He's off. He's gone. We want some punt mania. Certainly, we'll get some of that. I have a call. Okay, so steadily getting wetter this afternoon. Friday looks iffy. Iffy as in doubtful, but Saturday and Sunday forecast has improved. So, okay, we've flipped around a bit. Could be some of the early days might be out rather than in the day itself. So Friday looks iffy, what's today's being Thursday. But at this point, it's dry this morning, steadily getting wetter this afternoon. So there may be some play early on with some rain later on in the day. That's what the prediction is. Looks threatening. Actually, it certainly does. No, Maxwell shouldn't just whack. He's a very good batsman. He can bat long. He can bat aggressively where necessary. He can turn a match like Gilchrist did. Gilchrist didn't just whack. Gilchrist turned matches, and that's what we need Maxwell to become, I think. I think Bumrah should be the better bowler. Ishant Sharma's had a longer format of great consistency. No, Siddharth is not in Tokyo, but he's reporting on the Olympics from India, and that's as time-consuming as you would imagine. Okay. Skill, grit, and hunger. You're right, but it's also training, regular training, very relentless training. The swimmers are in the pool every day, 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours at night. They're dedicated as all hell. Can Pujara be replaced by someone like Prithi or Surya? We need some young talent tired of the same old faces. Well, it's the day is going to happen where there's no doubt there's going to be a day when Pujara and Rahane are under transition. There's no doubt. Kohli's not quite there yet, but the reality is that Kohli and Sharma will be around a bit longer. But yeah, Pujara's got to continue to get his act together. You're right, and so does Rahane. I agree with that comment. Let's keep going through. Oh, it's not a really good performance from Australia at all. It's good performance from Bangladesh. It won't be that easy. 300 would be a way too high a score. Hope they get there. As one wicket down could get you forward the next hour. You're right. I'm not denying that. I think we said earlier that if the strength of the England batting performance of 183 will be tested by the end of the completion of the Indian innings and how many runs they get. We're saying 300. We could be very hopeful. It may not get anywhere near that. The wicket may not allow that to happen. It may only be 200. We don't know that at this point. But at this point, it's looking good. And none for 21. That was good. They didn't lose the wickets. If they lost 2 or 3 wickets overnight, it would have made a much more difficult situation. Have I been to Japan? I've been to my travels. I have been to 103 countries. 103 countries in my life. Many of them multiply. I've been to India 20 odd times, Sri Lanka 20 odd times, Bangladesh 3 or 4 times, England about 40 times, America 20 or 30 times. Been all over South America. I've been to most of the Asian countries, a lot of South Pacific countries, and I lived in Germany for 5 years, so I went to most of Europe and Eastern Europe. Went to a lot of Middle Eastern countries. I lived on and off in Sri Lanka, so I spent a lot of time in the subcontinent, and even spent some time in Brazil, where I spent a lot of travels there. And the Caribbean, I've done many times and enjoyed immensely. So 103 countries, several thousand trips in total. I've travelled a lot, and I love it. But yes, I've been to Japan. It was quite interesting. Now, the 3 DRS reviews as opposed to 2. Oh, not yet. I don't think that's I think look at Kohli yesterday. He did 2 and 1 over and was lucky one was successful. Had he done 2 and it would have been a mistake. So it keeps a bit of a control over the amount they do, and they have to be a little bit careful when they make decisions. I think it's a good thing to leave it at 2. And as I said earlier, weather today from Marcus Lawrence, who's Munchie, is normally on the show, either in the commentary or in front of the screens. It'll be okay this morning, sunny, relatively clear this morning, but there may be some wetter conditions later in the day, with tomorrow not looking great, but the last 2 days now looking better. So if that's the case, you'll get 2 days play, and the last 2 days majority play, you'll get a result. It looks as though they're heading in that direction. Who do you prefer, an all-format bowler or a bowler specific to format? Well, that's a good question. Look, the days of a player playing all formats is just too much time, I guess. But they should be able to play. They should be flexible. But it does look like Test players play Tests, and ODI and T20 players play that. Some of the Test players spill over into the other formats. But not all. So yeah, it is separating so much. What do I agree with? If a player's good enough to play all 3 codes, all 3 formats, then great, let him. If he's not, he's not. But they shouldn't chop and change. And when it gets confusing and the player gets confused, or a player like KL Rahul's being pushed towards the short format and not allowed to play Test cricket as much, that's a problem. But luckily, KL Rahul, who's going to give it a chance, and I think it's deserved. And hopefully, KL Rahul gets some runs and then forces his way into the side on a permanent basis. Now with Hardik Pandya not there, and Agarwal and Gill both not fit, you'll see that Rahul may have a window opportunity. Shaw's coming, but he's not going straight into the side. Warren obviously wasn't a serious enough contender to make the team. So Cricket Legends reckons India, South Africa, England and West Indies will make the World Cup series final. No, South Africa I don't agree with. If you put in England, India, West Indies, yes. South Africa, no. I'm struggling to see South Africa make it, to be honest, like Australia. Now, I think hockey certainly if hockey win a bronze, which they had won in the men's, and then won in the women's, it puts it right to the fore. And I heard Boria Majumba talking about that earlier, and it was very good to hear. Very, 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 very exciting, to be honest. Very good. It's something that I'm happy about. And we're talking about who should have debuted in the third test. Let's get to the end of the first test first. Really, all the players that are selected in the first test should be 1 and 2 tests. So they have a not great game, they'll be playing the second test. So what this squad we're seeing here, Agarwal and Ishant Sharma are the only two that may come back in for the second test because they were injured for the first. I don't think we'll see Ishant Sharma come back for the second. I don't think so. I think they're going to leave, especially if this particular squad works and they win the match. You won't see the team change for the second match, I don't think. Agarwal may be the only one that may be considered. But if Rahul plays well, it's going to make it interesting. But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with leaving the side the way it is, especially the first 2 tests. Prithvi Shaw and Sky may not get a Guernsey until well and truly later. It all comes down to how these current players play. The bowling department's a different story. I think Ishant Sharma will factor in it later on. And Umashadov is there as well. England 5-0. What do I say now? England winning 5-0 against... No, I can't see that happening. In fact, India are in a great position here to win this first match. And at Lords, England don't fare well at Lords at all against any opposition. So they could be 2 down, which will be quite dramatic. 1 brings 3 in England, you're right. But we'll wait and see for that. I keep getting this question about why England and Australia are not playing with their key players. Warner, Maxwell, as far as I'm concerned, Smith, Stoinis have got IPL contracts that they're prioritising over this tour, and they've used it as an excuse to not go, and that was very bad, especially for the World Cup. They're giving the World Cup a lower priority, and that's unfortunate. So Pakistan are playing in New Zealand in September at 5 T20s. Well, that may be the case, but Australia, I'm pretty much sure this is the last one, because after this, they're going to have to go back to Australia. Then the IPL starts not long after. Very unlikely there'll be enough time. Some of them will go golf and play elsewhere. But all the quarantine issues, certainly, our best fastball in the world right now, other than Cummins. Our best fastball at the moment, Stark and Hazelwood are still there, but not for the short format so much. So there's a 56 country, as I'm a sailor, captain on ships, but you clearly are master. Well, I'm older than you, probably. You're like my grandpa. By the way, what are your sources of income? I watched you, and there's very low watching. Very sad. No, that's not very low. It's quite okay. I'm effectively retired, but I do have I had a government job for 36 years working for the federal government, and I've got this cricket situation I'm involved with plenty of things. I've got a tour company called Trip of a Lifetime Tours, and that goes around the world on cricket tours, but of course at the moment no one's going anywhere. So again, we're JT Chandler thing. We've talked about this already. India would want a lead of would be around I'm saying 300, but even 250 is 70 or 80 runs is quite a lot of runs on this pitch. Yeah, it's true. It doesn't watch like India's game to win. Absolutely. He gives a better balance. We mustn't forget the significance of Thakur in the match in the Gabba with Washington. They played important roles. They've both got 60-odd runs, 3 wickets each, played significant matches. 1 second, guys. There's some food there. I think you've already asked that question. I said Bulmer. But Ishant Sharma has a longer history. Mitchell Starc, his best is behind him, I think, to be honest. Hazelwood's the best is behind him as well. Cummins has got a lot more to offer. But we've got Pattinson and I think called Nessa and a bowling. We've got very little stocks. We've got Berendorf, We've got a few bowlers flying over. We haven't got a great deal of depth in Australian bowling, to be honest. This is one of the weakest England sides, batting-wise, certainly. Bowling-wise, is still good. I don't think we can give Australia any hope. There's no evidence to say Australia will play well in the series. Okay. Yeah, the great cricketer are people I know. Yeah. Can't do collaboration with everybody, though. Got to be your individual thing, too. So India will bat till tomorrow lunchtime. If they do, they'll be scoring 300. And if they force an 80 to 85 more overs, they'll definitely making it through. Look, I think you're right. But I don't know whether they'll bat that long. Who knows how long they'll bat for? We'll see. Don't forget, England got 183 on the first day, plus the 20. There's only 200 runs in the whole day. So, yeah, that's probably right. But whether they'll bat that long, they may not need to. Yeah, India play a natural game, yep. But be somewhat cautious and not give their wickets away. Quentin, what's your last comment? I didn't see that. I have to repeat it. I'm too far down the track now. Okay. Ishant Sharma's not playing. It's not a surprise. He's actually injured. He was actually deemed to be injured. And he's underrated. He is underrated. He's a good bowler. He's been steady as all hell. And has he played over 100 times? I'm pretty sure Ishant Sharma's played over 100 test matches, hasn't he? Let's have a look. I'm pretty sure Ishant Sharma's bowler played over 100 test matches. I'm just going to check, guys. I'm pretty sure he has. Yeah, his test debut was 2007. So he's played 102 tests. Not that many ODIs, only 80 and 14 T20. So he's a test bowler. What was the first game I attended live? Well, I was at the SCG. It was a state match, New South Wales versus, I think, maybe in Victoria. It was a long time ago, but I watched a lot of cricket. Who are the Fab Four bowlers in the world? In the world? Well, you'd have to rate. Well, I would have said Archer, but he's not fit. So definitely Anderson. Bumrah when he's bowling well. And then you look at the New Zealand blokes like Bolt or Southey are in that mix. And Rabada probably as well. You know, we have to say that would be. My favourite cricket memory would still be watching the World Series cricket at sports ground. I'm not sports ground, it was at the showground, being on the side of a rope, and the West Indian team were there. It was quite incredible. Also, Doug Walters playing at Village Green, which is the University of Sydney, University of New South Wales grounds, and I could walk up to him and sit down. He just got me to score, put the numbers on a board. He was there smoking, drinking, not heavily, but a little bit, and having a game of cards and going out the bat. Incredible memory. My favourite cricketer of all time has to be Bradman because of his history. Tendulkar's up there, but Viv Richards absolutely Garfield Savage. Now, as from the Fab Four, I was talking about fast bowlers. I wasn't talking about spinners. I'm talking about current bowlers. Yeah, well, no. And Pat Cummins is in there too. Yeah, I would argue he's more of a short form bowler. His test bowling figures are pretty good. Yeah, he's up there certainly. I think he's still ranked number one bowler, isn't he? Yeah, David Warner's probably enjoying making TikTok videos. Correct. And claiming his daughter's told him about it, which is hilarious. And doing Bollywood dancing. We all know why he's doing it. I've been talking about this a lot already. I think I'm very disappointed with Australia's batting and bowling performances against Bangladesh, against West Indies, against a number of sides over the last 6 to 12 months. And in particular, the selections have been abysmal. The lack of understanding of a captain, having 3 keepers in the one scene, Alex Carey, Matthew Wade, who's a joke, and Philippe. And then giving Matthew Wade the captaincy, it's almost like the only way to get into the team is if they give him captaincy. Because he's just not, I don't have much faith in him at all, to be honest. Now, it's about 40, 4 minutes before the start of play, so we'll talk for that duration. Why do I underestimate my own country? What do you mean underestimate? I'm totally aware of how I'm a huge Australian follower. I adore the Pontings, a number of players that have played, but unfortunately at the moment, since Sandpaper Gate, we've lost the plot. Since I've seen Warner muck around with Sunrise Hyderabad and just lose his captaincy through stupidity, the lack of good, steady middle order batsmen. I mean, Steve Smith's the only one, but he stuffed it because of that Sandpaper Gate. Sandpaper Gate were gone downhill. So I'm not underestimating. I'm telling you the facts. I'm disappointed in them. I want them to play better. No, he will not be the T20 number 3 for the World Cup. If he is, they're making a mistake. It won't be good enough. Two best, Lara and Sachin. Well, no, Viv Richards would have to be in that lot too. I don't know why we're talking about football in England. I don't know. India's more money at power than any other board. Oh, for sure. Why am I ignoring? You know what? I really, really, really hate when someone says I ignore their comments. I'm answering every single question. If you ask a stupid question, I might not answer it. So, Patricia, don't say that. I'm really annoyed by that comment. I'm not ignoring any comments. What did you put? India 100 all out. Absolute stupidity. That's not going to happen. Why would you say that? On what basis are you going to say that? I'm for 21 at the moment. If they were all out for 100, it would be horrific. And I can't imagine that being the case. Although anything could happen. Correct. And don't say I'm ignoring your comments because I don't answer it within 2 seconds after you write it. Okay? I'll ignore you permanently if you want me to. I don't appreciate that. I don't do this to be annoyed. Okay? You're saying the World Cup, Australia will come back in the World Cup for sure. I don't know how you could say that. On the form we've seen so far, there's no form of any sort there. Really, they have not played well. They played in part well in the ODIs, but in T20s, they've been atrocious against the West Indies. They got smacked 4-1. Bangladesh, they were down 2-0. They may come back and win a game here or there. Really, they're not, as are Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka had a few wins here and there, but realistically, Sri Lanka are probably in a better form even with their lesser side than Australia are. You can say players are out from Australia, they're here and there, but where are they? Where are they? They'll be playing the IPL, so they'll be in the UAE. So you would imagine they will stay because the World Cup starts straight after the IPL. So that's one positive, you would argue. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. So you watch England versus Pakistan, third ODI at the stadium. Okay. Ashaz, 300 might be a bit too much. I'm beginning to be turned around to that fact. 300 might be a bit too much. But realistically, they've got to go more than 183 for certain. I think if they get 250 or thereabouts or close to 300, then they're in a really, really, really good position. They'll be in a commanding position. I don't think there'll be many runs in this pitch. 250 will be the average score or less, and less as the innings go on. So this 183 may be better than we think. If India get a low score, the first things when there's trouble. So 275 would be ideal. Yeah, I think they should be looking for that. Nice caps behind you. Yes, they are the World Cup. They're actually the World Chess Championship Cups. I got them sent to me by the ICC. It took a month later. The ICC World Test Championship final between, of course, the Black Caps who won against India. I've got all the things. It's quite a good thing to have, actually. All right. Well, India bounced back Australia bounced back for game 3. They probably are going to improve. They have to improve. But they say they've improved in the first and second. Oh, that's bizarre. They got beaten soundly in both games. Can India win the test match? Absolutely. They're in a great position. They've played perfectly in the first day. They've learnt greatly from their efforts in the World Test Championship. They've selected well. This is the difference. India is selecting well. Shardul Thakur, Siraj, even KL Rahul, they're selecting their players well. They made a hard decision about leaving Ashwin out. Good, hard decision. Australia, for example, don't know who their captain is. They've kept solidly to Virat Kohli, who's now 61 plus test matches he's captained and has won 59%. That's what you want. You want solidity in your solidity and solidarity in your batting lineup, and that means keeping the same players there. And that's India's forte at the moment. They're keeping stability there. They're giving their honoured players a chance, and that's a good thing. Australia complete. Typically, when a team is doing well, or a squad or a country doing badly, they chop and change players every game. Chop, change. One doesn't do well, they throw them out. Another one comes in, they chop and change, and the captaincy chop and change. That's exactly what Australia are doing in all formats. Neil Harvey, the legendary Neil Harvey, who was a selector, who selected the famous 70s Australian side, said you pick a team and you pick and stick. You pick them for the series. Give them a good, long, hard go. And the great example would be in this test series that they give Rahul now a good chance. Agarwal missed his opportunity. He may well get back on the side, but they're going to keep this lineup. They're going to give Rahul, Sharma, obviously, Pujara, Kohli and Rahane a good go, and that's great. Very stable, actually, lineup. Rishabh Pant, magnificent chances, and he's been given, and he's proven it, and they keep persisting with him. The bowling attacks, Ishant Sharma's going to be in and out with Siraj, even with Yadav there. Got a lot of consistency about their team. Cleverly, they brought Priti Shaw into experience and Sky Kumar and Eshawaran, and they're very, very clever. I mean, the tour that Rahul Dravid took to Sri Lanka, admittedly, it was a bit of a mess, and they brought a lot of players in, but that was experimental, and I grant that. It was a good opportunity to do that, and I think that may be more frequently seen. But the test team's a fairly solid team, so, yeah. What are your thoughts on... Yes, yeah. Some changes W2. It'll evolve. The World Test Championship will evolve. It'll get better and better, and it's going to become the premier tournament over many decades because it's Test cricket, and the best teams of Test cricket have a thing to aspire to be the best, to get the so-called mace after 2-4 years, whatever it is. And yeah, the point system will be iffy here and there. It'll be inconsistent, and there'll be complaints, and there'll be issues between the boards and bargy, but ultimately they'll pick a winning combination of games, and then it'll settle down, and it'll become tradition, and it'll become a great tradition, as is the World Cups for 50 over and 20 overs. So that's why I think it's great. Rohit Sharma consistently gets 30 or 40 very well, 50s even, very, very well. We want him to hit a big 100. And it's scary because if he does, he might rattle off a number of hundreds. Same goes for Kohli. Those players are incredibly important and are incredibly talented and really, Well, today it's getting close to about half an hour before the play. Obviously, there won't be any toss necessary. There won't be any team announcements necessary because that's all been done. Again, India's selections of KL Rahul, the likes of Shardul Thakur and Mohammad Siraj have been fantastic selections. Really emphasise the importance of Shardul Thakur after his Gabba performance, Washington Sundar. Those two came in, scored 60 on each in a very important partnership there in the middle of that match. Bowled well, took 3 wickets on each with Natarajan, then allowed Mohammad Siraj to come at the end and score to take the 5 wickets and Punt to score the winning runs. Excellent result. Shardul Thakur was unsung hero in that match because the limelight went to Punt and to Siraj, but Shardul Thakur, he's bowling and he can bat too. And he's got this I want to win attitude. And I'm nothing but impressed by that. And I think we're going to see more and more of this man play. I think it's a very impressive selection, very bold selection. I see a lot of future in him. And I think they're very, very warranted in taking that man on deck in that way. So then you have KL Rahul. This is his opportunity. He might keep Gill and Priti Shaw out of the team for a bit longer now, because if he gets in there and scores well today, excellent. He knows that he needs to show. He knows he's getting an opportunity here, and he's going to hopefully try his best to cement it. Ponting or Steve Waugh, the better Aussie captain? Steve Waugh, undoubtedly. he was the best captain percentage-wise, around 70%, around that wins for his. He's a great captain, a very smart man, very loyal, will play for his team. So does Ponting. So did Alan Border. Alan Border had a lesser side, so he had difficulty winning as much because he had a lesser side. Ponting was blessed with having a very, very, very good side, with obviously Warne and McGrath at their peak. But they lost the 2005 Ashes, which was a bit disappointing. But the reality is that Steve Waugh was probably the best Australian captain we've ever had, for a number of reasons. And percentage-wise, statistically, he's been given that rating. Is this a chance for Virat to prove he's the best batting? Again, yes. Will Australia win the Ashes? Oh, boy. If they're going down the form that we're seeing in ODIs and T20s, I would say no. There's on Australian soil. England's batting has not been good, so that might be hampered. It's all up to whether Ben Stokes comes and Anderson Broad, what they're going to do. But yeah, a lot of ifs, and also Jofra Archer's floating around with the elbow, which is, he had that bone scraping, which can potentially grow back, by the way. So it's a chronic injury. It's not going away post-injury. He's got a long rehab, and they're keeping him out of this series, undoubtedly, which they probably would like to have had him there. Chris Wokes is needed for England, Ben Stokes. There's a lot of players that have to be in for England to win, but if they're in, Australia are in trouble. Yeah, he can, but he can. Sam Curran's more of a worry. Let's hope that's the case. India 137 all out. Okay, MB thinks India will be 137 all out. It will be a bit of extreme disappointment if India get it all out for 137. Let's be honest. You would hope that wouldn't happen. But if Anderson Broad are on song, this is Broad's home pitch and Anderson's hometown, that could happen. I'm not saying it won't happen, but I'm saying it could happen. Yeah, that's right. Our rain is expected later today. You're right. Is it raining? Not even now. Apparently not. It's dry at the moment, but it's leading towards rain towards the end of the day and a bit tomorrow. But then the last 2 days will fine up. So, look, there's enough time there. 3-4 days of play. I think we'll get a result. If a team bats 5 sessions and losses out of the question, yeah, I would agree with that. If India bat that long, they will probably only need England to bat. No, they won't need to bat again themselves. So that's a. No, it's not running. I think I've been asked that question before. The 100, the format or the score? I think they were talking about the 100 for Rohit Sharma, scoring 100, not the format. We're not talking about the 100 here today. This is not a day to talk about the 100 because it's about a test match. Why would you need to talk about the 100? It has its own time and place, and it's only being played in England and with English teams and a few outside players. Women's cricket seems to be good. Look, I'm not here to talk about that, and I find that really. Ashes is most interesting series to watch. Yeah, when things are going well, yes. But this series, 5 test matches, is as good as an Ashes. Let's take this one very seriously. Hi, Amir. What could you tell us about the Aboriginal cricketer Eddie Gilbert, who once clean bowled Sydney? Well, Eddie Gilbert was a lot of it. Don't forget the amount of Aboriginal players that played cricket, especially in the mid to late 1800s and early 1900s, was quite phenomenal. In fact, the first touring team from Australia to England was an Aboriginal side entirely. And they're very gifted sports people, from athletics with Kathy Freeman that we had in our Olympics in 2000, through rugby league, through to cricket. They're very, very good players. So, yeah, he was a good bowler. Very talented, very naturally talented. The game's a bit okay. What 14 will qualify? I've talked about this already. India, England, West Indies. The fourth side will be either Pakistan or New Zealand. South Africa, no, and certainly not Australia at the moment. Sri Lanka, not. Bangladesh, Sri Lanka might be around the mix, but they won't win. So now after 12 overs, 2 for 73. Are you talking about the score coming up next 12 overs? Well, we'll see. It's quite a brisk floor anyway. Come fast, harsher, sir. Okay, I'm not sure. You're playing a bit. You're not Quinton de Kock. We know you're not. Which 14? Look, I've talked about that already. Why is I getting down now? And there's a good point in this question. There's no newcomers coming in, no great talent. Look, it's very true that even though Cummins, Stark, and Hazelwood are the top three with Lyon in Test cricket, yes, they've had regular, high performances and deserved their places. But yeah, when they're moving over the T20 format for the World Cup, I think Hazel wants to get a Guernsey. They're making a really big mistake, Australia are. There's some really notable mistakes going on there. Yeah, they're not. But I mean, Berendorf. There's quite a few players that are not getting a Guernsey. It comes down to the captaincy, not the captaincy. It comes down to who is actually captain, and it comes down to the complete situation with the selection panel. Now, Trevor Holmes has moved on, who was a long-term Queensland and Australian player and selector, chair of the selectors actually. He's moved on, and George Bailey, who played for Australia, captain Australia in the short format from Tasmania. Very smart man, very good man. Hopefully he's got the answers. We'll see what wait for his impact on the selection. But the most important thing is to pick and stick. And that's one thing that they haven't done much of at all. It's been quite annoying, as a matter of fact. It's been very, very annoying. It really upsets me that we haven't seen a true pick and stick scenario of the way that the selections have gone. It's been pretty ordinary when it comes to that. Okay. Which team has the upper hand in Test matches? India clearly has at this early stage, yes. The new Indian team, you mean the new Indian team which we played the T20s and the ODIs? Well, look, there's so many great young players coming through, and they'll get their chance, and they have got their chance. You'll see a great transition, I think, occurring. You've got Sky Kumar and Sky Yadav, I should say, with Prithvi Shaw coming shortly. You've got SOR in there as well. The fact that Shaw and Sky Yadav are coming, it looks like SOR won't get a Guernsey. But KL Rahul's there, and look, he's quality. We all know that. Melbourne, Adelaide strikers, Melbourne starts. It's not. Are they playing now? They can't be. Love from India. I appreciate that. It's really important for me to be able to feel the love, and you guys have been great for a long time. But this match is now some 20-odd minutes away from starting. We'll start to see the players on the field shortly, warming up. Obviously, crucial first hour, first session for India. If they can not lose wickets and do well, it's a great position to launch from. But even then, they're not really out of the woods just yet. They're going to have to pass 200, and then they can start to be, well, they're ahead in the first innings, at least 183. Then you'll see that happening. I've been talking about this quite a bit. Australia have got issues across the park with captaincy, with what has been going on with selection. Australian women are losing to the USA. What is that in? Is that soccer? Yeah, well, is it soccer? Yeah, that's not good. India fan here. What do you think about the rain in today's game? Well, we've talked about that already. The first session one to two sessions looks like it'll be okay, but steadily getting wetter through the day and raining into tomorrow, clearing up in the last 2 days being good. That's what Munchie has told us. Although it's done very well so far, I mean, it's important. An opening batsman's job is to last the first overs of that small session, and they've done so. The last 13 overs, which easily could have lost 2 or 3 wickets. I'm saying 300, but I don't think as long as they got the first things first, not lose wickets in the first session. Secondly, get past the 183, and then the rest will just happen, hopefully. If you've got the score for the Australia versus US women's team, please let me know, because I'm not watching them doing this now, so I can't do both. If you're going to tell me someone's losing or winning, tell me the score. That would be really appreciated. Yeah, so we've got good viewership again, guys. I appreciate that. I haven't got any guests coming on yet, but that's not because of me. I've asked all my regular guests, and Monty was supposed to be on today. He said he was going to come, but he hasn't. Burry is coming on later. Burry and I have got a special coming out, a special live Tokyo Olympics with Boria Majumdar. He's been there today for the Indian men's hockey, having won the bronze medal against Germany, which is interesting. I will stream until the match starts, not until it ends, but into the match as it starts. Yes, we did that yesterday. It was amazing. We had both. I think Reg as in bandstand boy, which is the father of Chris Vernon. We had David Speak, who was part of the Barmy Army. We had him go live as the match started. It was incredible. So your name is Gash Usmani, and today's your birthday. Well, happy birthday, Gash Usmani. Why don't you make your name your name? The England bowlers been both. We've seen what Anderson Broad can do. Ollie Robinson looks a bit of a threat, but so far they've handled him pretty well. Sam Cohen's the biggest threat for me. You had me also. What do we have you? What are you talking? What are you, Barami? These half things you don't know. How important is the series to Pujara? Extremely. I think Pujara, well, he's going to play New Zealand. They're going to play New Zealand after in South Africa. So India have got 5 tests here against England. They come back home and they're playing New Zealand in a couple. And then they're playing in South Africa for, I'm thinking 4. I don't know offhand. So there's quite a bit of cricket going on, test cricket-wise. Pujara's importance is immense. He scored over 6,000 test runs. He scored a number of very, very important innings for India in very difficult conditions, especially in Australia. He's had a bit of a lean series of late, but all great players do. I think he's extremely important. Yeah, that was funny, wasn't it? Yeah, sorry, of course I forgot. I had Baram Irani on too, but that was much later. Not at the time when the game started, of course. Oh, you want me to tell people that you're Beth Baram Irani, who's there, who's actually in the Philippines? He previously said he was in Singapore, but he's actually in the Philippines. I don't know what happened there, but he was on that show, correct. What's your prediction on Virat and how much will he score today? Look, I hope he just thinks about it. He says in the prelim discussion, what about Anderson, what about this bowler, what about that bowler? Just let him bat and be free to bat. I hope he does bat well. I love to score and get a lot of runs. Joe Root takes the captaincy on by way of his performance, and he scores 64, which will turn out to be a very important 64 runs, by the way. There's no doubt about that. It's not. So, there's a lot to be said about the importance of Kohli. Really, the top 5, 6 batters are very, very, very good. Sharma and Rahul, Pujara, Kohli, Rahane, Punt. What an amazing lineup, really. Should be. They really still are the premier batting lineup in the world, and they have been solid. They haven't been they've been changed because of injury, but other than that, they've been quite solid, and I really, really, really respect that. And I think that's the key to why India, even though they didn't win the World Test Championship, okay, they didn't play that well, okay, but I think they've learnt from that match on selections, on bowling, certainly in batting, temperament, conditions, all goes well for a very good series. And this is the test now, how well India go in the first session, first hour, then the first session, into the second session. That'll be the testament of how important that is. It'll be the driver for the whole test series. If India can bat well, get a mark of 250, 300, with a lead of well over 100 or thereabouts, it's going to be psychologically very damaging for England. And they've had a pretty lean run. I mean, admittedly, India lost the World Test Championship, but don't forget, England lost 2 matches against New Zealand in quite ordinary fashion not long ago as well, in their home country, on their home turf. So really, there's a lot to be said about that. And yeah, I mean, India are already none for 21, so they're 162 adrift. I would be very disappointed if India are out for less than 180. That would be very disappointing. But I think they've given themselves a very good chance here. And the Indian batsmen should just take the time, survive the first hour to 2, don't forget India playing against a team with only 4 recognised bowlers. Broad, Anderson, Robinson, who is a good bowler, and Sam Curran, who's probably the X factor in that foursome. And that's it. Then they go to Joe Root and Lawrence. If they can survive these 4 bowlers and run them around a bit and get them tired, and they're looking for a 5th bowling option, we're going to see India doing very well. And they've got to have that mindset. Yeah, Munchie's right. Munchie's absolute patience. And I think I've said this even if you remember back with the World Test Championship, I also said this about both teams at the time. And Williamson was an advocate of this. Patience. The way even Joe Root batted, and even Alexa Bairstow batted yesterday, they had an element of patience about their batting. Let Punt and that take care of some attacking batting later on. But Rahul and Sharma should take their time and graft a total. Pujara certainly will do that. We know that. Rahane should do that. Kohli can play his natural game. And in that mix, patience is important, especially when the ball's outside stump, let it go. Don't nick off. I think Rahul tried to hit Sam Curran on that one over and almost got an edge on 1 or 2 leverages. Just let the ball go. A lot of the England batsmen did okay. I mean, simply did okay on letting the ball go. They did okay, but they still only got 183. So it's just tells you how significant that whole situation is. It is quite dramatic. It is very dramatic. So, all right, we are looking at if there's any commentary about this today. There's not a lot of commentary at the point. So there was some polite inquiries. Jared Kimber and George DeBell looked at the first day's play, and of course, Gurkit Singh Gill, who's a friend of mine, anyway. The reality is that this pitch. Okay, there's a great stat here. It's England's worst start to a home series in more than 2 decades. That is significant. Because England generally start their home series very, very well, and they actually start their series away very well. When Anderson and Broad are there, they usually get a pile of wickets. So this is the worst start, especially batting-wise. England have had this is the worst start to a home series in more than 2 decades, and the second worst since 1950, which rather sums up the golf and the talent at the moment. You have to understand, and it's true, Vivian Sluxman also has said that India have learnt very quickly from their shortcomings in the World Test Championship final against New Zealand 2 months ago. While England batting coach Marcus Trakotha concedes certain lessons for his team may not have been quite so quickly heeded. It's a fair point. England have given simply Burns and Crawley another opportunity up the top. Ollie Pope, who I'm not convinced on, is not there. But the one that really still grates me is Dan Lawrence. Again, he failed in the first innings of the match. You're in a team not to fail. You shouldn't be failing. This is not good enough an excuse. I'm very disappointed. Munchie says, this afternoon onwards is very changeable. Thunderstorms tomorrow, some rain Saturday and Sunday. But you're saying, Munchie, that with a thunderstorm tomorrow, that can come and go, but Saturday and Sunday will be improving weather, some rain. So we're going to get a lot of play today. Maybe not so much tomorrow, but then the 4th and 5th day we'll get plenty of play. So, if India can get a good lead on the first innings, they'll win this test match. That's my prediction. I really think that's the way it's going to go. And as Munchie or a number of people would always tell me, we're then looking at a situation where England don't play well at Lord's. So that could be 2 losses in a row for this test series, at least 3 left. Uphill battle for England to win all of those. They may win 1 or maybe 2, but it'll set off an exciting series. And I'm still predicting that India will win 3-2. If they have a 2-0 lead, they could go even higher than that. But it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. It could be a great struggle. Could see India go well early, win 1, possibly 2. England come back, win 1, maybe 2, and with a great finish. What a great series. Is there any job? No. Lots of blame being applied for the cricket schedule for the England players, but I question the take of the same of some. Yeah, look, I'm over the Australians at the moment. in Bangladesh, all they're talking about is the pitch. Rubbish. They've got a poor side. Full stop. England, about preparation. Look, Root got 64 yesterday. What was wrong with that? Preparation, no preparation. India, even in the short spell of 13 overs, they did well. I think you play the game. Look, back in the day, the preparation was not always based on playing the nets and high performance this, high performance that. Just if you've got an ability, you'll take it. You'll adapt. Ozone Reeks was very careful with what he said. He wasn't going heavy on the pitch. He said, yeah, there was a bit of an unusual pitch, but it was up to us to adapt. Correct answer. Matthew Wade is not a quality player. He's certainly not a captain. Alex Carey was given the ODI captaincy. Why was he given the T20 captaincy? So many mistakes. Changing the side all the time. Mitch Masters' first drop, he wasn't even in the squad. I don't know where these position players, where are the good players? Well, there's no excuses. This is the warm-up to the World Cup. In their mind, they think the IPL is their warm-up for the World Cup, being in the UAE. Well, Australia aren't a team in the IPL, so that's not going to happen. You need to be a team as well as individuals, so that's really poor preparation. The reality is that there are no excuses. You play under cricket. Let's not forget, back in the previous century, they played on when it rained and they never covered the damn wicket. And they then played on it. And they had abysmal bounce, uneven bounce, quite dangerous conditions, but they said that's what they live with. It's a matter of adjusting. Players need to learn that. I think it was about technique. What do you think if Kohli gets a couple of tons, it will be a chance to India to win? Of course. If he gets a couple of tons, they'll win the series, definitely. On paper, India are strong. Hopefully, we'll bash it at their home series. Very possible. It certainly does. I don't know the answer to this. Maxwell Smith, I just don't know what's going on there. I really don't. I do not know what's going on there. It's dictated by the IPL contracts. They're most successful. They want to make sure they're available for that. And they don't want to get COVID or be in quarantine or somewhere else. They want to be ready for that, it's okay. No, I don't think Ashwin should be in place for Jason. Jason, well, they win, they're going to continue playing. They should stick to the same side for more than one match. That's the most important. They must stick to the same side for more than one match. Very much so. How are you, Reg?
Hey, how's it? How's it, everyone?
We've got a lot of great comments, a lot of great questions. I've been filling them all myself for the last hour.
I've been driving home listening to you, Norman, on YouTube. So I apologise for my tardiness. And I probably won't be here till tomorrow.
That's all right.
I'll be out later. The only reason I came on now is because I've just heard the live weather forecast, and I thought that would be of interest to everyone watching here.
Well, Munchie gave us a bit of an update. But give us your update.
But Munchie's useless. They've just had on Test Match Special the weatherman on live within the last 2 minutes. The forecast for today is for rain to be coming in between 2 and 3 o'clock. So it's just after lunch, and that will probably be the end of the day's play from what they're saying. Heavy rain and ongoing showers after that. The forecast for tomorrow is very much a hit and miss. There's a weather warning in place for thunderstorms in the Nottingham area, but he said that they could completely miss, they could hit, and they're going to be sporadic. So it sounds though there could be some play tomorrow, but a couple of interruptions.
Right.
But might only be a session and a bit today at the grounds. But again, with weather forecasts, you never quite know, Norman, do you?
No, and look, but what you're telling me though, I still think we're going to get a fair degree of play. I mean, Munchie talked about the 4th and 5th day looking better. So if there's a bit of inclement weather tomorrow, it doesn't mean the day's totally out. There'll be enough play today. That means you'll get,
I think we'll definitely get the morning session today, without a doubt. We'll get to lunch, which is massively important. I mean, that's in the context of the game. If India get the session here and get to, say, 80 for 1 at lunch, then they are absolutely in control of the game. If at lunch it's 60 for 4 at lunch, with India's tail being a little bit suspect at times, then it's game on, isn't it? So it's a massive 2 hours of cricket, I would say. Massive 2 hours.
But do you we've been talking a lot about. I should be just gloating first because you're online. That's 17 gold medals for Australia.
We've won another one. I've just saw a news flash come up. We won one on cycling. I haven't seen who it was or what it was. We're
still in front.
And we're both countries are rubbish compared to China and Japan and America.
But this is Australia's equal most gold medals.
Yeah, I mean it's fantastic, isn't it? Isn't it? It's for our countries. We love to watch it, don't we? Love to watch our athletes get gold medals.
Although I thought it was a bit funny when I heard the young 18-year-old boy who won the skateboarding, his accent was totally and utterly American.
Our girl won the bronze. She was 13, and she talked American accent, and she was Chinese to look at or Japanese to look at. So there was an interesting. I have got no idea what her heritage or where her background or why she's representing England, but good on her, she is, and she won us a medal.
Oh no, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
It's just what we talked about last night. We're multicultural. It's, people can come and qualify and and move here and do whatever. Mo Farah, one of our greatest ever Olympians, emigrated here when he was a young man or a late teenager, didn't he? So from Nigeria or wherever it was, Uganda, when it may be. So yeah. You embrace people into your country, Norman, and the world will carry on doing that more and more, won't they?
Yes, they will. When are Australia playing Bangladesh again? It's not tonight, is it? I don't think it is.
I think it got cancelled like a boxing match. I think the referee called time on it, and as Bangladesh are so far ahead on points that they did Australia a favour.
Look, it's hurting, but I tell you what, I'm disgusted in the way they're playing. I mean,
what? Can I ask you a question?
I believe I know the answer, but Warner, Smith, Stoinis, Maxwell, and a few others are really contracted to the Dan Christian. They're all very much tied in with the IPL, which means even though they're not playing the IPL right now, I think when do they play that in September? Which is only
October, isn't it? The IPL is it back end of September?
No, the IPL it's September. Pretty sure it's mid-September to I think September 15th or 18th or something to October 10th. But it's already August, don't forget. Now, in terms of movement around the world, these players that are playing against Bangladesh would have to go back to Australia, quarantine for 2 weeks. Then if they're going to play someone else, they have to go and then quarantine potentially again. So that's almost a month.
September, Norman, just give me a second here. If it's mid-September, I think the last test match doesn't start here in Manchester until the 15th of September.
Well, there's a crossover. So,
surely the Indian players won't miss the IPL, the Stars. It must be after. It must be after that. I don't.
No, I think it's literally.
It finishes 2 days before the World Cup. I know it finishes 2 days before the World Cup starts.
Well, let someone online tell me or tell us when does the IPL start?
I'm guessing it might be the end of September, Norman, rather than mid-September. I think it's
early. Anyway, the point is, I'm talking about the Australian side. Forget them for a minute. But the Australian players, the Warners, the Smiths, I'm talking about those players specifically who are in Australia at the moment, are all there and have been. They're not playing any cricket in Australia, clearly. So this is the last series that Australia are playing in an international format for T20 before the World Cup, because the IPL will be covering a period. Because September's only a month away, so there's no way.
Are you saying, as an Australian, that the Australian better players are giving priority to the IPL instead of playing for their country?
Well, what else could it be? Why is one not there?
Do you know what? I sit here as a 54-year-old man. The thought that I could play for my country at cricket's a sport I love, would be, I can't think of anything greater that I would want to do in my life. It's gone. I'm rubbish. I'm not good enough. Of course I'm not. And then you think players would give up that opportunity. I can't comprehend it, Norman. It doesn't equate to me because I'm
you and I agree. We have to remember, we have to understand that they've it's a combination actually.
But none of them are poor, Norman. It's not as though it's a money thing, is it? Because none of them are hard up. They're all millionaires.
It's about COVID too. A lot of the Australian players have not gone because of COVID. Okay, Glenn Maxwell was supposed to play in the 100.
Yeah, I understand.
Shane Warne's first pick. I think he was going to be captain of his 100 team. And, well, Shane Warne's got COVID anyway. But Maxwell opted out on going. I actually think that Maxwell probably opted out because he didn't want to go because of COVID. And that's a fair reason. The tour of Bangladesh and West Indies.
But he could have gone to the West Indies, couldn't he? Then he could have gone to the West Indies and played for Australia in the 2020s in the West Indies, couldn't he? And the one days.
Yeah, but then why would he have done that if he could have played the 100?
Because he's playing for his country. He's representing his country.
Look, to be really honest with you, I don't know what's to blame, honestly, but they should have been playing. I agree with you totally. The most important thing is if you've got a World Cup coming up this year, the last time that the Australian team will play as a team will be in Bangladesh. So that means they're going to go from a shocking effort in Bangladesh at the moment. Even if Australia win the next 3 matches, it's still a shocking effort, right? Quite frankly.
But won't they bring back these star players? Won't the Warners?
But that's my point. That's my point. They haven't played as a team before the World Cup. That's disgraceful. That's not what you do. Okay.
Yeah, you want to have your team ethic together. We know that the best teams are the sides that stay together and unchanged. You were talking about it earlier about the way India have kept their batting together to a certain extent, but there is very much a team. And you're right.
It's actually very admirable. It's very, very admirable. Through a difficult time when Greg Chappell got 7 ducks in a row, they didn't drop him. Pujara's had a somewhat lean time. Kohli somewhat, Rahane somewhat, but they haven't dropped them. I think they've actually got the Test cricket understanding right. You and I have to think back to the traditions of playing for Test cricket. It's pick and stick. You pick for a series. Now, they brought Agarwal in because of the lack of Gill. Gill was injured. Agarwal's got injured. Now, if Rahul plays well in this match, do they put Agarwal in the next match?
No.
I would argue probably not.
Man in possession, isn't it, Norman? If you do well, I mean, if you come in as a quick replacement, you score 100, you ain't getting dropped, are you?
Well, yeah, it really depends. But you would think this is Rahul's grab. We're about a minute away from the play starting.
They are out there. They are. I'm looking at it. That's why I keep looking away from the screen. I'm watching KL Rahul taking guard. I will tell you who the bowler is going to be in a second. Looking at Joe Root at slip. This is a big session for England. I imagine it's going to be Jimmy.
It's a big session for India as well.
I assume this is going to be Jimmy Anderson bowling. I'll be mad if it's not. No, it is. Jimmy Anderson's got the ball. I did hear last night an interesting comment from Alistair Cook, Norman, talking about the balls, saying that this Duke's ball this season has been swinging more as the innings has gone on. It's something. It's just been moving. And apparently India bowling moved it more after tea yesterday than they did in the morning session. So that's interesting. Yeah, it was. I think the overheads had something to do with it as well. But play's about to start in sunshine, so we're going to get, I think, a couple of hours play.
That's significant because I mean, I can see that now. I can see the. Hang on, I'm just going to.
Looks like a pretty big crowd. So first ball is short of a length. It's swung away a little bit and left alone.
So the reality is, KL Rahul is not. See, we've got to realise that KL Rahul has got a batting and playing history of Test cricket.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He's scored centuries at Test level.
Yeah,
he's no mug. It's actually a very smart selection. Even though
can't be experienced, Norman, can you? Experience counts for an awful lot, you know.
And actually, Rahul's a good lever of the ball. To be honest, Pujara's a good lever of the ball. Agarwal, I would argue, is probably more of a person who would play, and Rohit Sharma is too. They're going to just hold back. And I think Munchie mentioned in the commentary, patience. Patience is integral key to this. There's a lot to be said of this. And I like the fact that we're commentating. Remember yesterday, that was so funny. We had David there. Oh, that was amazing. Wasn't it?
Looks like there's a good crowd in today. I just hope that if the rain might hold off a little bit into the afternoon, but it does look like they don't usually get it wrong a couple of hours before. They might get it wrong in our country a day out because we're in an island and things can change very quickly. Second ball of the day is a play and a miss on a defensive shot, gone through to the keeper. This is going to be a testing session for the batsman, I think.
I think it's great that we're talking as we're going because people are staying and they're loving this.
Are they? Not sure they love it.
Here we are. So Anderson coming into bowl.
I'm just holding my mobile, so that's why I'm a bit wobbly.
But Anderson seems to be bowling too short.
I think that was short. I mean, he played and missed at it, but it's
it's easy to get out of the. That's too short. That's too short.
Played and missed pretty much again at the third delivery.
But he's bowling too short.
Yeah. They had a stat on Shami showing how much he pitched it up yesterday as well. He bowled very well, Shami. I like Shami, as I think we talked about last night. And you're exactly right what you said about Bumrah. Anyone saying that he only knocked over the tail, well, we spoke about that last night as well. It's nonsense. He bowled a couple of absolute beauties. And you've got to get.
Yeah, but I think fast bowlers. People are forgetting that fast bowlers' jobs are to bowl early and then bowl late.
Yeah.
In a general sense.
Yeah.
They're meant to clean up the wickets.
Yeah, they did their job. 180 all out. You can't criticise any of the bowling, can you?
No.
180 all out. You're exactly right what you said.
She's a lot. The door that leads to. I don't think it's the dressing room. The door that leads is hilarious. It's so visible, isn't it?
It's one of these quirky old grounds that we have here, don't we?
I love it. I remember walking around there and walking to that. For some reason, I had to go around that way. I went into the door and looked. It's quite a phenomenal position. I really enjoyed that ground. So many quirks about it. It's excellent bowling ground.
Yeah, I mean, I've not been to Trent Bridge, to the ground. It's a funny shaped ground, isn't it? It's not traditional what you call an oval.
Very exposed at one end. Very, very exposed to wind conditions.
Yeah, so it's great to see a crowd back in. It's great to see they're just showing some load of Indian supporters there. There must be 6 or 8. I don't know if you're watching the same Sky feed as I am. You're going to see that in a minute.
Yeah, I am. So it looks relatively full.
How about this, Norman, for a decision? Who do you think's getting the ball this morning? Ollie Robinson is getting the ball.
Broad. That's a bit of a shock when you think this is Broad's home ground.
Ollie Robinson is the coming man. He's obviously got a long career as a youngster. I think he's a year younger than Chris. So I suppose he's 28. So he's not exactly a youngster. Maybe 27.
He's hardly young. He's hardly young.
Him and Chris played together for a few years.
How's this? Bori Majunda and I have been talking today because he's obviously over in Tokyo. I'm having a Tokyo Olympic special. It was meant to happen before this show, but it will happen after. And he's on Sports Tack and Arj Tack and India Today and Sports Day. He's heavily on the news. He's going to come on with me, and we're going to talk about, well, obviously the hockey. You know,
is that Sport Talk or Sport Tack, Norman? Sorry, Sport Talk.
Tack.
Oh,
no, Tack. TAK.
No,
there's Sports Today.
I was watching you yesterday, Norman. Sport Talk.
TikTok. Well, I thought it was TikTok.
I know you did. I was laughing.
Well, that's what I was talking. Yeah, tack. Tack means a day. Sports. In fact, it means today.
Yeah.
Arj Tack is, I think, news today. So it comes under the Indian Today banner. There's Sports Tack, Sports Today. There's Arj Tack. It's quite a mix.
Yeah.
You know what? I really would like. I know you maybe not want to hear this, but I would love to see Rohit Sharma go well, Kohli go well, and give it in England a bit of a smacking this match.
Oh, Norman, how can you say that? Are you predicting Rohit gets 147? That's out. That's good. Oh, not given. It was very big shout for LBW.
Well, I did give that prediction. I was right that match, by the way.
147 for Rohit. Is that what you said?
No, I said 16. I think 147 ended up being 161, so I was outdone.
So England aren't reviewing. It was a good ball by Robinson. It nipped back off the seam.
Too much, way too much.
It's a good ball though, Norman. Look at.
He's bowling a lot of balls that are coming into the bat. Actually,
it's a good decision. It's no way is it out. LBW, I was wrong. It's too high and it's going down, but good to see it's moving around. He's useful. This boy, Norman. He's useful.
Where has he been?
He's been a bad boy, I think, a little bit in his earlier career.
Well, he was deemed this whole banning rubbish that went on. That was just a joke.
Yeah, but he says himself until the age of about 25, he was, lost in the wilderness a little bit. He's a Kent boy. He's a local boy here. Let's say Chris
Do you know him?
I do. Well, I do know him because Chris played with him for about 2 or 3 seasons. So he's a. Well, I don't want to say. His mother was a single mother, I think. So I knew his mother because of your parents, and you sit with
But
parents.
being a single parent doesn't mean you're a bad child.
No, but then she got herself a boyfriend, and I don't want to say too much more on that because that would be unfair. And he moved counties from Kent up to Yorkshire, and he played for Yorkshire. And then I don't think that worked out brilliantly well for him, and he's playing at Sussex now, where it's worked out very well. You know what it's like, Norman? You sometimes a change of scenery, a different coach, someone who empathises more with you, works with you. It's funny. It's a funny game, isn't it, cricket? That happens in football as well. Player suddenly moves to another club and they have
it's like a father. Obviously then what you're describing, he missed having a father figure in his life. That's very similar.
I will say his mother had a relationship with Paul Farbrace, and as far as I'm aware, they're still together. I don't know any different, and I think Paul Farbrace became a very good influence to him. I would imagine. I don't know if you know.
But Paul Farbrace, destabilisation. Look,
yeah,
I manage a lot of female cricketers that have lost their parents when they're young. Okay, a lot of female cricketers that have no father, father passed away. A lot of these things go on. I mean, I got a phone call today from Nipuni Hunsaker, who's in Melbourne. I brought her out. She was the vice captain of Sri Lanka, and her partner Rebecca Van Dorp. They both live in Melbourne. And Nipuni rang me up, and her English has improved out of sight. She was always very shy, and now the last 3 years she's been here, English has improved out of sight. And she seems a more confident, mature lady. I'm very proud of her, and you could argue was kind of like a father figure to them.
Yeah. So the first 2 overs of the day have been 2 maidens.
John Major's there.
I just saw John Major. There's been a few plays and misses, a couple on the pads. Jimmy looks.
It's good old Parkinson's usually there, isn't he? Parkinson's normally there.
Yeah, especially if the Headingley Test, he'll be there. Michael Parkinson is in his 80s now, I think.
Yeah. So he has a property in Rusco's Bay in Sydney. He spent a lot of time in Australia, actually. I think he spent more than just 6 months.
Did he do his chat show down under as well? Did he do his
chat he did,
yeah, I thought so.
But I mean, he actually had a place in Rusco's Bay. He was here more than just a few months. He was here for long stays. I think he still has that place, actually.
Being a good chat show host is hard because they make it look easy, and that's the skill.
Well, they're patients. They're listeners. They're listeners.
Yeah, asking the questions and everything like that.
Where's Chris today?
Chris is coaching today. He's all day coaching. It's school holidays. Broke up last week. The schools broke up, and because he does a lot. I'm sure you're aware he does a lot of pro coaching with the youngsters. So he's out.
Which is paid. It's paid.
Oh yeah. He gets paid. Yeah, absolutely. Paid coaching work. And I know he definitely. I don't know if he's going to be about tonight or not. And I don't know how many days he's coaching. Anderson's getting up there a little bit this over, a little bit fuller, and it's
unusual that it's taken him this long to do that. To be honest,
sometimes it's a rhythm thing, Norman, isn't it? I'm not a bowler. Munchie would be your man to ask on that.
Was Munchie a bit skitty? Did he bowl? Was he skitty or?
Munchie, I don't want to disrespect Munchie. I wouldn't say he's the tallest bowler you've ever seen.
That doesn't mean he's not a good bowler.
Oh, he was a good bowler. He was definitely. I would say he was a lively medium pace. Would that be fair? At the level we played at, skiddy, but he got it. He moved it around a little bit, and he was mean and bloody nasty as well on the pitch. You wouldn't have thought so looking at him now, would you? But he wouldn't be averse to having a quiet word with a batsman and snark at him. I
tell you what, if the bloke bowled short to me, I was on the back foot and I was trying to belt him, and then I'd have a few words to him. Don't worry. I was never scared of a bowler. If the bowler bowled short to me, it would make me angrier and I would try to hit him further. I was an opening batter and I was a keeper. I was kind of like I wouldn't say Rod Marsh, but nuggety. I was not small, and I was quite tall, but I was like that. And I used to love it. The faster the bowl, the better. I love a brand new ball. A brand new ball The bloke tries to bowl the bejeebers out of you. You just whack him because there's no one back. Even a mistimed shot goes for 4.
The next time Munchie's on, do not let him tell you that he was nice, calm,
Munchie's saying he's
friendly.
listening.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he wouldn't. I'm sure if he turns around and says he was a nice, polite, calm bowler, he's talking nonsense. He was feisty, mean, and nasty to batsmen. He hated them. Absolutely hated them.
Munchie, come on. Send Munchie, come on for 5 minutes. Munchie, I want you to disprove this. Munchie,
you need to send in the link, Norman. I'm on my mobile. If I try and do that, right, I will lose connection.
So Munchie, I'm ordering you, Munchie, to come on and explain yourself because I don't like this.
You've got to bear in mind, Munchie runs a multi-million-pound business, and he's, he might look poor and dishevelled, but he's actually a very rich
What's that got to do with the price of fish, though? What's that got to do with
Well, he's busy, when you're running a big multinational industry, a company like he is, he's got calls on his time. So he'd hate me for saying that.
So, Munchie, where do you want me to send it, Munchie? Where do you want me to send it? Do you want me to send it to Facebook?
Three maidens in a row, and Anderson definitely got it fuller that over. And
so I've just sent him the link. We'll see whether he.
I think that's the rhythm thing. He would have the statisticians would have spoken to him overnight, wouldn't they? There's loads of analysts these days. They would have looked at
but India has to play the moment. They can't worry about weather.
This is not an easy start for them. 3 overs, 3 maidens, and the ball's zipping around and gone past the outside edge probably 4 or 5 times. Big shot.
But that's what a good typical opener has to survive.
Yeah, well, we were talking about yesterday, weren't we? That's all the England guys did in the first session, really. And if you look at the
I'm going to jinx Rohit Sharma now, but I think he's really handling his opening role very well. Yeah. He hasn't got centuries, but he's getting good starts and good 70-run opening partnerships. Really, the openers have done their job when they're done for 70.
Yeah. If you look at yesterday's play, Norman, 1 ball before tea, England were 138 for 3, and it's an even day. 138 for 3, 1 ball before tea is an even day at that time.
Yeah.
And it all fell apart. Cricket is
I want you to make sure you listen to the interview that I've got on my YouTube channel from Moses on Reeks post the second day's play.
I saw it. I watched it. You sent it to me. I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting character, isn't he?
He's actually he lives around the corner from me.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
He's an incredibly nice bloke. He's often down the cafe. He's an incredibly nice bloke.
You're a very lucky man.
Oh, Munchie's here, okay.
I'm
going to get some truth here.
5 minutes.
But Munchie, since when? What are you doing in India?
Well, I like doing backgrounds, and it was a friend of mine was marrying an Indian lady that they both met in Philadelphia while we were working out there, and her grandparents lived out in Kolkata. And what the guy said, look, we don't want any wedding presents, but we'd like you to come out to the wedding. So there's a group of us. And if it hadn't been for the wedding, I would never have visited India. And afterwards, we realised what a wonderful country it is, wonderful people.
But what's that got to do with the picture behind you, though? What are you talking about?
We visited Agra. Yeah, so I was just showing you.
My Taj Mahal's better than yours.
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
Mine's been
How are you, Munchie?
I am very well, Reg.
And you're going to. Oh, that's a great ball by Robinson.
All right, explain yourself, Munchie.
I was going to say,
it's about
you were not nice, were you, as a bowler, Munchie? Don't you dare deny it.
I was delighted when the batsmen would come in. I would shake them by the hand. I wish them the best of the day. Good luck with their innings. Yeah.
I've never met a bowler in my life that's shaken my hand coming out to play. What is this? What a lot of poppycock.
No, I would definitely get steamed up. Yes.
Steamed up, exactly. You saw smoke coming out of your ears.
Yeah, if you remember the Looney Tunes cartoons with steam and fire coming out of everywhere, then yes.
But see, I would love a bowl like you. And don't take this personally. I would have called you a small runt.
Yeah.
I would have called you. Were you the runt of the litter? And I would have given it to you, and you would have got steamed up, bolted. I would have went clock.
Oh, you would have got plenty back as well. Yeah.
He might have been a bit quick for you, Norman.
I love the faster the better. I love fast bowling because it played beautifully when the ball's coming on fast. You just sit back and rock back and go slam.
Richie Richardson didn't think that when Marcus knocked him over first ball.
Well, look, I mean, We're gonna us three. We're gonna have a game of cricket at some stage, and I'm gonna be sledging the back. I'm gonna be sledging the backside out of you two guys. I'm gonna say
You probably could do with my knees.
I couldn't hit it off the pitch, let alone off the square anymore. God's sake! And I think
when you got it, you got it. You still got it.
No.
Okay, so India, I don't want to put the mock on them, but they're doing particularly well. I still think they're doing well. They're leaving balls. As I said, all throughout the last so many months, Indian batsmen let the ball well. Leave it go. Let it go, as you do in England. Learn to let the ball go. Play late. Play what you see, and you'll negate any swing bowling. Like that ball there, Jag.
What's your take, Muncie? Do you think we're a bit short here? Do we want to get it up a bit more, don't we?
Yeah, but the ball's jagging, but it's predictable jag. You know what's going to go away from the bat in most cases. When Anderson bowled Australia last couple of tours, he was dying, especially at Adelaide Oval. Oh my God, he bowled beautifully. He was bowling sensationally.
Didn't get any wickets though, did he?
Sorry?
He didn't get too many wickets though, did he?
Oh no, that's not true. There were some games where he got a lot of wickets.
Okay, but Munchie, do you think we're a bit short here?
Looking at the few balls, unfortunately, the feed that I've got come through the desktop to my left here. That's a couple of balls behind you, but certainly the early balls, Manderson did seem to be, although there was a lot of movement, they were a lot shorter compared to how he would normally bowl. Perhaps they're bowling to a plan. I don't know, because these are talented bowlers. You don't deliberately, he doesn't accidentally bowl short ball after ball after ball. He can almost bowl whatever you want, dial a ball on a string. Yeah,
we've just gone.
It's very disappointing. It's very disappointing so far.
Taken the edge, and it's been dived and stopped in third slip. In fact, the batsman played it really well, played it down. But
the consideration I've got for this, the consideration I've got for this is India need to score this morning. Because yes, the ball's going to get softer and the bowlers are going to get tired and rotating because there's only a few of them. But as the clouds will come in this afternoon, that ball's going to move more. And obviously, you made the comment earlier about the Duke's ball at the moment, because the wickets are lush and the outfields are lush. There's not that much wear and tear on the ball, so it is swinging longer. And the Indians bowled brilliantly yesterday evening and an afternoon. To get those wickets. So the Indians, while the conditions are more favourable for them, should be trying to score more now. But of course, it's trying to strike that balance between being attacking and then keeping your wicket intact. If you try going looking for the ball, then you're going to get nick out to the slips. So you really got to wait for that bad ball and make sure you put them away.
The big 2 hours, Munchie, isn't it?
Do you know what?
Definitely.
To be honest with you guys, this commentary we're giving is pretty damn good.
I don't think so.
Because people aren't going anywhere; they're staying.
I don't know how many watching us, Norman. Because I'll tell you what, we're not pretty, are we? It'd be better
to 82 are watching us right now.
I think. Okay. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you a story about cricket commentary, and this was when I was working in Philadelphia back in 2001, and the BBC had started to stream the brilliant Test match special cricket commentary through the internet.
Yeah.
Previously, it was only on Radio 4 long wave, and now it's on digital radio. But they started streaming it through the internet. So I thought, great, I'm sitting in the office in Philadelphia. I've got my headset plugged in, working away, listening to the commentary. And obviously, for those people that are familiar with American style commentary, it's very upbeat. There's a lot of hype, and everyone's getting excited. And so the guys in the office were asking me, so, what's cricket commentary like? So, okay. So I unplugged my headphones, put the volume on, just as the brilliant Henry Blofeld was discussing a bus going down the Harleyford Road near the Oval, and the guys were just looking at me in bewilderment. This is cricket? Oh yeah. But they're not talking about the games. You don't. It's, if you think about when you go and watch cricket, you'll sit there and you'll watch it, you'll have a drink, and you'll chat with friends, and that's effectively what Test match special is all about. You're not, the ball's halfway down the wicket. It's there. And that's what the beauty of Test match special is about. It's a group of guys and ladies as well talking about a subject that they love, and that's why it's such an institution for us.
Well, Mohammed Kaif? Is that who's on commentary there?
No, that's Murali Kartik.
Murali Kartik.
Dinesh Kartik.
Dinesh Kartik. Sorry, he's been with Sky all summer, hasn't he? Munchie?
We're getting the names wrong. Dinesh Kartik. Now he's quite a. He must be. Is he well liked in England?
Yeah.
He's very good. He summarises very well.
Fair. Yeah, he did a lot of the tours when England were over in India as well. And he joined in the winding up as well, because there's a lot of ragging going on between the commentators. Dinesh Karthik has a brilliant array, and he's so stylish as well. So they're teasing him about the colour of his shirts, multicolours, etc. And then he was then commentating back to the England commentators about their lack of style, etc. So it's yeah. But he's very knowledgeable about the game because he's still playing it as well. He's not a retired player. He'll be back for the Calcutta Knight Riders in the IPL.
Okay, but the interesting thing with him though is that Deep Desgupta is another person I've got a lot of respect for. We've had him on the show. He's beautifully spoken and very knowledgeable. Obviously, opened the batting for India, has good knowledge. The other fellow that I do like is Akash Chopra, who's often he comes to Australia. He's for Channel 7. He's great too, very polished. Both openers. Probably didn't. Deep Desgupta was also a keeper. They both weren't necessarily very successful at the highest level. They did play for India. And Dinesh Karthik, you would argue, hasn't played that much Test cricket. But they're knowledgeable, eloquent, and well-liked. So, hats off.
I said it was only a few minutes. I've got to go. Sorry, Norman.
No,
pleasure as always.
Let's go back to the Taj Mahal then.
Thank you very much. Yep.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Munchie didn't explain anything about what we asked him to anyway, really. But
he admitted that he was a mean, nasty, horrible opening bowler. And he was, and a good one too. He was good. You knew what you were going to get when you gave him the new ball, Norman, and that's what you want, isn't it?
So he bowled a fair bit short. Was he a prolific short ball bowler? Or?
I wouldn't say he bowled. The wickets in our country aren't always conducive to banging it in short. But he bowled at a really nice pace, and he was aggressive. And
but when you say a bowler is aggressive,
Norman, big shout for LBW. Not out given again.
When you say a bowler is aggressive, that implies short.
There's a review. England are reviewing a not out LBW here. Batsman didn't offer a shot to one from Robinson. I don't know.
But it clipped his pad at best. It didn't actually hit his pad.
They reviewed it. They're going to review it.
Yeah, but if it's clipped your pad, that means its direction has barely changed.
I agree. I'm surprised, but we've got a review coming. Now, Munchie was aggressive insofar that it was quick and he was at you and he was trying to get it in and around your rib cage, that sort of height, So you can still be aggressive, and he would have a word with the batsman, that sort of aggression. Okay,
well,
here comes the replay,
I used to love that because I was a talker. I talked to Slips and Gully if they bothered to talk. It actually kept me going. I liked talking. It was a way I could relax by talking. Because when you're facing the ball, you shut up. But more often than not, the fielders would start talking to me as the ball's being bowled, then I would pull away, and that would get annoyed. And it was a tactic.
Yeah,
no
this
way,
is not out, by the way.
No way.
On review. The thing is, Norman, you've got to bear in mind.
That was a horrible waste of a decision.
No shot offered, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but
it's missed the stumps by. You have a look here. Wait to the replay, Norman. It's not out by 1 inch.
I'm afraid it's enough that he's not out, though.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not spinning that. So it wasn't the worst because he's not playing his shot. The way the delivery goes, it looks like it would have cleared the top of the stumps as well. Yeah, you'll see it on replay. So the next ball's a beauty as well. Robinson is bowling nice spell here, Norman. Yeah. It's been a proper cricket opening start. Proper test match cricket. You got two proper batsmen, two proper bowlers, and they're vying to see who comes out on top. Well, there's no doubt that you got two players that are actually proper in terms of, they are deserving of it. Rohit Sharma's showing me he's got a lot more, really, Rohit Sharma's an attacking batsman. He's known for his short form game. Yeah. He's showing great maturity here. I'm really impressed. He's doing what I didn't expect him to do. I thought he would be a little bit too aggressive and that he'd nick a few, but he's 13 or 55 and he's batted beautifully, really. We're going to put the mock on him, you know that. I hope so. No, that's what I want to put commentator's curse on him. They're both Pujara-like at the moment, 11 or 59 and 13 or 50. Pujara's not even in. No, but they're batting like him. Norman, I'm going to take my leave and watch the cricket, if that's okay.
All right, I just want to let you
I
know
wanted
that
to
we've
come on
had.
to give you the weather update. I didn't want to
But
ruin
I
your
knew
podcast.
you wouldn't leave it. We've had over 8,000 viewers, by the way. So
Well, I hope they're all enjoying the cricket and the commentary. Let's hope the weather stays good. Have you got many lined up for the after show?
not at this point, no. But I'm hoping Monty Panestar just said he was in a meeting. Monty was due to come today. Monty's very keen. Adam Hollier is keen as well.
Alan Holyoke, top man. I played Surrey Championship.
Lovely bloke.
Same as
One of the
Holyoke.
nicest blokes I've met, really. He's such a
Massively respected in our country, and that's the first poor shot of the morning, I would say, from KO Rahul. He's had a flash at one outside off stump. It was too close to him to try and cut, and it's gone through to the keeper. He could have easily edged it. He will not be happy with that shot. It's pressure, Norman. No matter how long you bat, eventually your brain.
But if he got onto that, that would have flew.
Well, you could say that, but he could have easily edged it.
There's something about opening and batting, and you would agree with this. When you open the batting, when there's a ball outside off stump and you want to cut it, you hit the bejeebers out of it.
It was too close to cut, though, Norman, wasn't it? It was just too close to him.
Yeah, no, but you get my point. I don't believe in nudging and following the ball. If it's there to be hit, you try to clobber it because you're going to get a very good your chance of being out of very little.
Well,
that's what I think.
I guess I just think he'll be kicking himself for playing that shot. He's doing a lot of the hard work here, the same way we did yesterday morning before lunch. And they've just got to battle through the first hour. If they can battle through, then they can start scoring runs in the second hour before lunch, I would think. Anyways, I'm going to love you and leave you guys. Lovely to see you, Norman. Thanks for having me on.
All right, and you're going to be available after the show. See how you go later.
We'll see how we go. And if you got, as I always say, you got better guests on, then I'll watch and listen and comment on the chat.
Okay, we'll see you either way then. Later.
Take care.
Thanks.
Cheers, fella.
Ciao, ciao.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Bye. So look, I'm still here. It's 9 for 27. They've only added some 6 runs this morning, but it's still a very important stage. And almost to the 20th over, the ball start to get older and start to get perhaps more playable. I think there's worthiness. I like keeping the commentary. I'm not sure whether you're all able. Okay, you're saying England will win, and that's sure. Why are you saying that, Sunday? Why are you saying that with great confidence? The way that they're playing, I mean, England are doing a good job in bowling, but India are doing a better job in not getting out. I know they haven't scored very many runs. They've got to start to score a few runs. You're right. Otherwise, we might be in for a slightly different situation. But yeah. There's good bowling going on for sure. So, in some way, this day will pan out. There'll be some wet weather turning up a bit later in the day. At this stage, it looks as though that's the case. And if it is the case, you will see perhaps slightly more attacking batting at certain stages to try and get the rig along. But I think this is a great position to be in for India. They're doing very well. I don't want to overplay that fact, but it's been great. We are looking at a it's a certain amount of I'm just going to take this person. Hi, wait a second, guys. I think it's got a call just a moment there. All right, so the reality is that we have a situation where things are very, very set. It's looking at they're looking at two different ways that it looks like KO Rahul's batted. And 3 years ago, he batted a lot with he's batted further in the crease and he had his foot facing cover. Now it's been more turned around. Slightly different batting technique being shown by the batters, which is intriguing. But India have learnt to let the ball go. That Sharma Rahul, Pujar will do that, we know. Kohli will have to do the same. He won't be tempted though, and Rahane as well. Ollie Robinson and Fernando Marino. Ollie Robinson's a very good choice. I think England have got a great deal of depth, more depth than Australia have. That's why the Ashes series could well go in England's favour, because they've got a much deeper bowling lineup, I should say, which is very, very interesting indeed. Very impressive, guys. So we're going to go for another short 15 minutes. If you've got any questions you want to ask me, please do before we leave. We'll have a post-session talk as well, straight after the match. About 3 in the morning my time. It's about 10:30 at night in India's time, roughly 6:30 p.m. on the day, depending on how the day goes weather-wise. Maybe even earlier, depending on how the game pans out. Been a remarkable game, actually. Well, that's a magnificent shot there from Rohit Sharma's got a fuller ball and he's driven it nicely to the boundary off Robinson. So it looks as though the way that India are batting is classic Test cricket. Rohit Sharma and Rahul with great maturity and understanding of the situation of batting accordingly. It was a lovely straight drive of Robinson, and it clear the pitches looking a lot not as green as I first thought it looked. As a matter of fact, looks a bit drier. Okay. I 3-2 India will win the series. I agree with that. Jimmy and Steyn, who will you pick? You'd have to go with Jimmy Anderson based on the history of it. Dale Steyn has certainly been up there, but I think the longevity of Anderson, you have to say. So what's the latest score, Rahan? The latest score is India are none for 31 off some 20.4 overs. Rahul is 11 not out, and Rohit Sharma had a beautiful off drive there for 17 not out. So they're none for 31. It's a great start in the morning's play. Robinson's bowling quite okay. Anderson's bowled quite okay. Broad's not yet seen. It's amazing. This is Broad's home ground. I can see Sam Curran is actually warming up. Broad, I'm assuming, will come on from the other end as well. England will miss Ben Stokes. Archie Rathod, that's a great statement. He is a major blow for them. Even though Sam Curran's a worthy replacement, Ben Stokes, especially batting-wise, Ben Stokes is probably as important as Root to their batting line. Probably the only two batsmen who are worthy of any consistency, especially in winning. We saw what Ben Stokes did against Australia. He was a headline. It was just amazing. There's a lot to be said about Ben Stokes. Incredible. He's one of the best all-rounders in the world at the moment. Jadeja's certainly up there too, but Ben Stokes, quality, absolute quality. The weather forecast. Well, we've had Munchie, Marcus Lawrence. We've had Richard Vernon, Banster, we're both on. The forecast is not looking good. There'll be some form of rain periods towards the end of the day's play, which still see the end of the day. There'll be some thunderstorms around tomorrow, but then it'll clear up, and then the last 2 days of the test will actually be particularly okay. So you're going to have 1 to 2 days play, maybe a day intermittent, and then the last 2. So plenty of time to have a victory. Plenty of time for a result. Not an issue with that. So I don't think there's any issue with that at all. So for those of you that are coming online now, it'd be great if you're going to watch this channel, just help me out by subscribing. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button for future sessions. And I've got my Instagram there and my Twitter at Norman Koch. This is Eyes on Cricket at Norman Kochnik, with Norman Kochnik. So I've got my channel in conjunction with cricket conversations with Aparna Saini. We've had Reg Vernon on earlier. We've had Munchie on. We have a number of regulars. A lot of the English players will be on more posts again. David Gravely will be on, I'm sure, in the future as well. But yeah, so Joe Root got 64 in the first innings. Bairstow and Sam Curran got 29, 27 respectively. So Zach Crawley got 27. Sounded like they were getting a pretty good total here. I think got 183. Those other batsmen basically all failed. But Anderson's on there, and I think we'll see Sam Curran coming on soon. Broad's been held right back. Maybe they're waiting for the ball to get older. I can only assume that's the case. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense why you would not have him on earlier, because this is his home pitch. Yeah, so Anderson looks fit. For a man who's turning 40 next month, I believe. Wow. I wouldn't mind being that fit. I was actually pretty fit for you. Oh, but I'm impressed. They're letting the ball. Robert Sharma was tempted them, but did not play the ball, which is good. Good to see. That was a much fuller ball from Anderson, which is impressive. Tara Mahant, hello. If today's is a close match, India are still strong. If Stokes has dropped, England are significantly weaker. True. Today's and Ashwin both complement each other, really. But what India wanted to do was to have a left arm batter out of the two, which Jadeja is, and left arm bowler. I think that was the reason why, because England haven't got a lot of left arm batters except for Rory Burns as far as their batting was concerned. So absolutely. So Tara Mahant and Kartik Altade, are you both subscribers? Please. If you're not, please subscribe. It's good to have you on as subscribers because we'll have a lot of great guests over time. It'll be good to be able to have you on as a subscriber. You can then be notified when things are going on. It's really good. Yeah, there's comments here. Australia still missing some of their major players. Well, where are they? They should be here. They're playing a World Cup in a short amount of time after the IPL. Those players should be in their last makeup of the Australian team before they played it. Why weren't they there? I don't know. Because they've been contracted to play for the IPL and they want to make sure that they're not riddled by COVID and not caught quarantining somewhere and they're at home. That's why. Although Sydney's not doing that well either at all, considering that as well. All right, guys, we'll move another 5 minutes. Yeah, they probably relied too heavily on. I thought Jimmy Anderson's turning 40, Munchie, not 39. Can you confirm that? I thought it was 40, I thought it was. Yeah, true. But Ben Stokes is not playing. Munchie, please confirm if Jimmy Anderson's turning 39 or he is 39. I thought he was 39. Who was my favourite POM? Current player, Ben Stokes, I would argue. Joe Root's up there. Both very, very commendable players. James Anderson certainly has a lot of respect for him. Archie, right, you've said something in Hindi. I'm not going to touch it. Okay, so Jimmy Anderson was born on the 30th of July, 1982. So, yes, he is right. He's turning 39. Well, 39 or 40, still, he's not Roger Federer, and Roger Federer is starting to wane as well. So, I'm not saying that that's a good thing, really. All right, this session has had 9 overs for 11 runs. That's pretty good hitting rate, but that's important to get through this period. So Jimmy Anderson was born on the 30th of July. So he just turned 39. So he is 39. So his next birthday is when he's 40. That's next year. Yeah, so Jimmy Anderson is 39 years of age. 39 now. Whether his birthday is next year or this year, he's 39. So it's kind of right. Ollie Robertson looks quite respectful, I must say. So, guys, my merchandise. Eyes on Cricket with Norman Cosham. I've got these lovely cups here with Chris Vernon. You saw Reg on before. They're all waiting for YouTube to actually sort that out. They're supposed to have it on there now, but they haven't done it yet. Incredibly watchful. KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma are incredibly watchful. Very, very, very good. They're making sure that they ground away as much as the bowling because these 4 bowlers, once they're tiring, they haven't got the 5th and 6th bowler to come in. That's probably the tactic. If they can survive that long, they're doing very well, doing exceptionally well. Impressive, though. Ollie Robinson certainly is impressive. He bowled well against New Zealand. before he had that horrible situation where he wasn't able to think. He got a few wickets. Do I like Indian players? Of course. I could see Jim retiring next summer. I think that's the absolute limit to his play. I can't imagine him playing any longer than that. Really, really. I think that'll be the sum total of him. If he's smart. Do I like Indian players of cricket? Of course I do. I mean, I've got a lot of respect for Rohit Sharma when he plays. I like Rishabh Pant's play. Kohli's captaincy, but it's very, very good. Great bowling. Ashes 21 prediction. I think England's batting line is fragile. Aussie's going to smash their helmets. Oh, it's too early to say. Look, Ollie Robinson, Anderson Broad, Mark Wood, they've got some good bowlers, firepower to retaliate. So the reality is that Australia's batting is also brittle. What are you talking about? Labuschagne, Smith, and maybe Warner. That's really it. England, India, New Zealand, best team name, please tell me. I'm going to say at the moment India. Although New Zealand pipped them in the World Test Championships, I'd say India, New Zealand, and England. They're all very similar. India's slightly ahead. Well, we're seeing evidence of it right now in this match, aren't we? Seeing great evidence of it. They're starting to bowl a little bit more leg side, so there's more runs coming. It's impressive. Great to have you on, guys. So, okay, 5 minutes of questions, and then I'm going to call it quits, and we'll see that. Why openers struggling in Test cricket? In general, well, there's a lot of players like Rory Burns is not playing badly. Yeah, but there is less openers. It's a fair point. Rohit Sharma's proving to be a success. Shubman Gill generally has batted pretty well there as well. Usman Khawaja should be back there. Do I watch the IPL? I watched every single match. The first 29 IPL matches I was commentating before and after every match for the first 20 for extra time for my channel. The first 29 matches, still 31 to go. I was on for every single match, to be honest. It's been a great day. Just going to see what's going on here regarding. There we go. All right, guys. If you're viewing now for the first time, with whom does IPL happen? Well, I think Mumbai Indians obviously the favourites because of their history, but Kolkata Knight Riders is my team. But the team that I think is going to actually win the IPL, even with the return of the UAE, will be the Delhi Capitals. The Delhi Capitals with Punt in there, I think that's a very balanced side. Sunrisers and Hyderabad, no. A lot of other sides are out of form. Ben Stokes is obviously still out of the side that he was involved. Josh Butler, well, whether he'll play or not, but I think Delhi Capitals. So, guys, please, I'm about to stop the show. Ask me some questions. Like I said, Kolkata Knight Riders, but Delhi Capitals for me will win the whole thing. If you're viewing now, please subscribe. Take the time to subscribe and hit the notification button. So view, like, and share the videos. I've got great videos on there. Vikrant Gupta I had on recently. Deep to Gupta I've had. We're coming up a bit later actually here now, so we'll see what's going on. In fact, what time was that interview meant to be? I'll have a look on it. I'll better just check on that. I'll just tell you what time that's meant to be. Hang on. And we'll get out of here before him. So I just want to see what's going on with that. I don't know what's going on. So. All right. All right, guys, we might call it quits there. I think I've had a great session with you guys. We'll wait for this match to unfold. Obviously, to end with, we've got... Oops, what happened there? Ball bounced to Rory Burns there. It was a cut shot, a half cut shot from Rahul. He's getting a bit impatient, isn't he? But that's not out. All right, guys. Last question. My favourite cricketer in the world was Viv Richards from the past. Currently, everybody from Coley to Williamson are great to see. Azam, Root, the top players are particularly good. I've got a lot of time for them, so all well and good for that. So Rahul's struggling a bit against James Anderson at the moment, I've just noticed. Hang on a sec. James Anderson's bowling very well. Rahul's struggling a little bit. You can see him getting a little bit impatient, because James Anderson's a very, very clever bowler, very experienced, and will eventually outthink them. There'll be a wicket falling before too long, you would imagine, based on what we're seeing here. All right, guys. Again, there's a show that I'll be on with Brian Majunda very shortly, talking about the Olympics, as well as a discussion post day 2 of how the match unfolds, depending on the rain. I might bring it early if the game finishes early, but I'm generally looking at a 10:30 p.m. Indian time at 3 a.m. in the morning out my time, or for that matter, 6:30 p.m. England time. All right, so do enjoy watching the match. If you've got any other questions, because I'm about to go off and have a bit of a break. It's been a great first session. All right, Artie, right, I've already mentioned this before. We've had a weather forecast throughout this day. The rain will start to fall towards the end of the day, and perhaps even thunder storms into tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't look good, but the 4th and 5th day look very good, so relatively good. So we should see 4 days play, and there'll be a 5-day match. Well, it'll go into the 5th day, depending on how the game goes. India, if they can keep inking out this total, hopefully they'll be able to surpass the England total is, and get a lead, and then force the pressure back on England, and we could actually see a result, which would put an incredible start to the series for India. And then with Lords next, which is notoriously not favourable to England, we could see a 2-0 starting point, and then perhaps England will come back and make a great series of it. That's what we're expecting to see. So none for 33. Things are a bit slow at the moment. Yeah, so Broad has not been witnessed today. I don't know what's going on there. They're inking out some runs here, which is pretty impressive. All right, we've got more viewers coming on. I've had guests on throughout the last 2 hours, so I'm about to finish up. So anyone that's joined now, please ask questions, and in turn, will England return into the series? I think so. They'll come back at some stage. Certainly will. But at the moment, the batting's got to be strengthened. Ben Stokes is out indefinitely. That's a big problem. Ollie Pope won't make much difference. Maybe Hamid will do some good for their openers. Maybe that could be a solution there to bring him on. He looked in good form. This was his home ground. Oh, no, that's also looking like that's they're not going for that either. Ball's hooping in, and they're not going to go for it. No, they're not going for it. They're not going to challenge that one. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. They're not challenging it. Ollie Robinson is getting a ball to really hoop back in. Not really an outswinger. He's more of an in-swing bowler. That's hit the pitch and certainly jagged back. And it was a lot closer than they made, actually. It was a lot closer than I first thought, I would have thought. I think they've perhaps understated that decision. They're replaying now. It was outside the line off stop. It has jagged back now. It's missed quite considerably, actually, by more than a ball. It was a very good decision, actually, in him. Because the ball's jagging back way too much. Way too much. So Kumar Sangakkara is commentating in the hot seat there with Michael Holding. Both are neither English or Indian, which is West Indian, and Sri Lankan's kind of close to India. But it's intriguing how that's obviously Sangakkara is now the MCC chair. I think that's what his titling is. And Holding Kumar Sangakkara actually live in London now. They're pretty much English. Oh, there's a lovely drive there from KL Rahul. It's gone rocketing to the boundary. Lovely shot. Now, there's a bit of argy-bargy. Is it just fun or what? There was a bit of banter there between Ollie Robinson and KL Rahul. I'm not sure that was necessarily a pleasantries. That was a very nice shot. That was an excellent shot. KL Rahul, geez, he could have well stand himself as an opener, I tell you. A lovely shot. Very, very nice shot. Definitely words between Ollie Robinson and Rahul there. And there certainly is a bit of banter going on there. Now, guys, there's plenty of other videos you can watch as well on my channel if you're bored. Submarine gaming. What's submarine gaming? Is it something that you sell? Submarine game? Munchie, if you have a world-class batsman and a world-class bowler available to commentate, I'd use them. You're talking about Sangakkara and Holding, of course. Today, which country? Well, it's England versus India. How much do you earn from YouTube? Not much at all. I do this for the love of it, I can tell you. I do this because I love it. If it was for money, I wouldn't be. I'd be doing other things. But that's my decision, and I love it for that reason. No better fun than talking about cricket, I have to argue. India at 9:39. I'm watching it. India at 9:39. Rohit Sharma's on 19, and Rahul's on 16. Correct. All right, we might. I'm going to go to what is 9 o'clock. I'm going to go another 6-7 minutes, and I'm off. Okay, guys, then we'll finish up. Okay, that'll be 9 o'clock. KL Rahul double century. A lot of people have been saying double centuries. I don't think there'll be any double centuries in this match. It's just not that sort of wicket that enables you to bat that long. If they get a century, it's worthy of a double century, really, honestly. On this sort of pitch where the ball's hooping around to get a double century, wow. I have to be very lucky. But they're batting well. I think at 50s and 100s, like you would argue Root's 64 was a great performance. Who am I supporting? A good game. I like India though, but England, I'm not really worried. But I do. Why Ashburton today is not playing because they had to pick one of the spinners. Jadeja, left-hand bowler, left-hand bat. That was their choice. Where am I from? I'm from Coogee Beach, Sydney, Australia. And those that know me, I followed the entire India series here early in the year for Extra Time for Sports Today, for ABP News, ABP Hindi Live, a whole lot. Had a lot of fun. Sri Harsha, SREE Harsha, cricket, and I collaborated. We've got some great videos out there. Look at my YouTube channel if you haven't seen them. Certainly worth having a look at. Stuart Broad is finally coming on. This could be the most significant part of the day because it is his home turf, and you would argue this is his place to sort things out. Do people in Australia watch the IPL? I have put together many live street videos and talked to Australians down the streets of Coogee Bay, as in Coogee Bay Road, on a number of occasions, live videos, and talked to all sorts of people. They were very interested in the Mumbai Indians, the Kolkata Knight Riders, Delhi Capitals, Rishabh Pant, because of the influence of what happened during the Test series here earlier this year. Rishabh Pant, Washington Sundar, Shardul Thakur, Natarajan, Siraj, all left an impact on Australians. They all loved their underdog play. That was in Test cricket. They flowed onto the short version. Yeah, I'm talking about India and England. That's what I'm talking about here, specifically. Correct. Munchie is mean and nasty. Well, you're a bit gutless, Spain said, boy. You're talking about it through a message. You said it kind of in person, but you're a bit gutless. Munchie lives close to you, doesn't he? He might come over and thump you, even though there's a COVID restrictions on coming over and thumping someone, or is that allowed? You might want to tell me about that one. We want to see Danny in him. I'm afraid his test career is over. Yeah, but Banster boy's a choir boy. That means a bit. How's your father? Oh, okay. Bit of a AC/DC or what? Just or DC? What are you talking? Not sure there. But come on, boys, settle down. Can't you visit each other? Is the COVID? What happened there? Was it a wicket already? A short Broads. No, it wasn't a wicket. So I thought they were reacting like it was a wicket for him. But this bowling of short Broad could be very significant. This is his home ground, don't forget. This is his place of place. Let's watch it over a short Broad, and then I'll finish up for the day. Yeah, Broad's on song, that's for sure. So Artie and Submarine Gaming and all you people, are you subscribing? If you're going to watch my show, you hit the subscribe button now. So it's subscribed, and then you hit the notification button. So when I'm on later on today, you'll be able to do it. Okay, so I'm going at 9 o'clock because I'm going to be back on again with Bory Majunda at 9:30 talking about Tokyo Olympics, and then on later on tonight with the post-game play. And of course, with Rohit Sharma on 21 now and KRL 16, and for 41. Very impressive start, to be honest. Let's hope they keep going. Let's hope they keep going. He's played at that one. Played it late, but got the middle of the bat. He's got 4 runs for it. So Rohit Sharma's now starting to play balls up. So maybe he's starting to see the balls better than he's. Okay, so goodbye. Goodbye, both Archie and Submarine Game. All right, guys. But I hope you've subscribed. We've got 2 minutes, then I'm finishing, guys. What do you think about the track after 3 days? Any of us being short? I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think it's pretty okay. It's certainly not going to break up as much. So both teams won't be playing the spin bowling as much. So it'll hold. It'll be a fast bowlers in a seamers swing bowlers paradise for a few more days to come. That's for sure. Oh, that was a good ball from Broad. So okay, guys, I'm going to end there. So you view, like, and share the posts. Subscribe. Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kostak. You see my hat. Subscribe. If you want to become a member, it's even better. But subscribe and then hit the notification bell or the button. Go to my Instagram, my YouTube, or my Instagram and my Twitter, and even LinkedIn at Norm Koch. And at 9 for 45, India are looking very solid. Let's hope I don't jinx them. I have Ariam Chahar. I've been to India many times. We'd love to host you. If you want to host me, send me your email address in the message, and I'm on Instagram. Go to @NormKoch and Instagram message me, and I'll talk to you. Certainly would like to come. So Sam Curran's coming over on the bowl as well. I'm going to see Sam Curran's over, then we're going to finish up. Because I've got a feeling Sam Curran or Broad may take a wicket. Got a feeling. Curran certainly bowled well yesterday. His hair's even blonder than normal. We've got 5 balls to go, and then I'm finishing. Okay. I have been to India many a time, just to let you know. But again, view, like and share, subscribe, keep in contact with me, tell me what you want to see, interact with me, put some comments together, notifications, next thing, whatever you want to do, we'll go from there. We'll have a lot of fun throughout this series. There's 5 test matches, so that's a lot to be seen, a lot to be heard of here, guys. So we want to be able to make the most of this. All right, so please come and visit this channel. Adam Holyoke, Monty Panesar, Alan Mullally, you've got Chris Vernon, Reg Vernon, Munchie. You've got a bunch of my Indian great friends as well. They're all here. Oh, I was close to the edge. All right, guys. I'm going to watch the end of this over. There's only a few balls left, and I'm going to see Sam coming out. I'm going to go. He's bowling the ball coming out of the pads quite a bit there. I have a good interview there of Moses on Rex. If you look at my page, the press conference there of him talking, it was quite a shocker. He didn't pull any punches. He basically said it the way it is, the way it was. Okay, Sam Curran's over, just about over. I think there might be one more ball to go, and then we're going to finish up with that. So Ravi Guerrero sent me a message. All right, guys, don't forget to view, like, and share. I'm going to say it again. Subscribe. Also, make sure you put not only a subscription, but you also put a notification button hit, and share this in your WhatsApp groups or whatever groups you've got. And I think that's just about the last ball coming up. This last ball we're going. All right. Sam Curran's first ball with his bushy blonde hair. You can tell he's young. That hair's way too blonde. By which time we're facing the last ball of the over from Sam Curran. And he's kept it out. All right, guys. All the best to you guys. So I'm going to be on after the match, post-match. There's going to be a special with Bory Majorna on the Olympics too. Please watch. Enjoy. Keep watching Norman Kochnek on Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnek. Again, subscribe. Thank you guys for listening. All the best.